What's up and welcome back to Kind of Funny's Ghostbusters in Review. That's right, we are ranking, reviewing, and recapping every single Ghostbusters movie. As always, I'm Tim Geddes, joined by the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
What's up, dude?
The producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Get him.
The Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Great afternoon, listeners and viewers.
And making his return to Kind of Funny content, the big daddy himself, the biggest Ghostbusters fan I know, Greg Miller.
Hello, Tim. How are you? How are you,
I'm
Tim?
fantastic.
Can you believe we're here? It
No, I
finally
can't.
happened. Pandemic aside, Bill Murray aside, fucking the weight of the world aside. We got a Ghostbusters 3, everybody. We're here. Congratulations, you did it.
We did it. We all did it together, everybody. And we're going to talk all about it because this is Kind of Funny's In Review, where each and every week we rank, review, and recap 2 different movie franchises. Right now, we're doing our rewatch of Spider-Man, so check that out leading into No Way Home. And very soon, we're about to start The Matrix in review, which I'm really excited to revisit. But you can get the show on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com if you want to get it as a podcast. Just search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show ad-free, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like our Patreon producers have done, Molecule and Pranksy. We appreciate you so very, very much. Today we're brought to you by MeUndies, Uncommon Goods, and Stamps, but I'll tell you all about that later. Let's get right into it. Ghostbusters Afterlife. With a runtime of 2 hours and 5 minutes. It was released on November 19th, 2021. It was directed by Jason Retman, a Canadian-American actor and filmmaker best known for directing the films Thank You for Smoking in 2005, Juno in 2007, Up in the Air in 2009. He's received 1 Grammy Award, 1 Golden Globe, and 4 Academy Award nominations, 2 of which are for Best Director. He's also the son of director Ivan Reitman, who directed Ghostbusters 1 and 2. This movie had a budget of $75 million, and a box office, obviously, is not a final tally because it's only been out one night, but it's off to a promising start at the pre-Thanksgiving box office with $4.5 million ahead of Sony's 2016 Ghostbusters reboot, which only came in at $3.5 million. Sony's projecting $27 to $28 million for the weekend, and the industry is even higher than that at $30 to $35. So it's looking pretty damn good for the Busters. Nick, I want to start with you. What did you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. I think it's definitely worth seeing. And I thought, I thought it was an entertaining ride. I don't think it is, I don't think it lives up to the first one, but I don't think anything really does. I think that, as we talked about before, the original Ghostbusters is sort of lightning in a bottle. I think this pays homage to it. We've got a lot of fun Easter eggs, at times a few too many Easter eggs. But it's exactly kind of what I thought it was going to be, which is less comedy, a little bit more subtle, and a little bit more action-oriented, and a little bit more for kids. But I don't mean that in a bad way. Usually when I say something's a kid movie, I think they're kind of pandering to kids. This kind of hits where a lot of 80s kids movies used to hit for me, where it's a little scary, and it doesn't treat kids like they're idiots. And I think it's a worthwhile effort. Having said all of that, I do think it's missing a little bit of a spark, and I can't quite put my finger on sort of what it needed to kick it into like great territory for me, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go next. I'm actually kind of right there with you, where I do think this is it's a good movie, and I think for kids, it's a great movie. Like, this movie really reminded me of so many things I loved when I was little, like Goonies, or we brought up Hook last week, but things like that, where it's like just kids having an adventure and crazy things happening to them, and like the crazy things don't necessarily need to be the craziest things in the world, but it's just kind of like constant moments of like, wow, that'd be cool, and like imagining. Me as a 32-year-old man now, imagining being a kid, imagining how cool it would be to be in this situation, like I can totally feel that, right? Yeah. And I think that really is a testament to this movie kind of achieving its goal. Because like watching it, I didn't expect that to be the case. I thought it was going to be more of a movie for adults, but I definitely think it is a movie for kids. I think in that regard, it's really great. I think in terms of being an adult watching it, I think it hits a little closer to the Power Rangers 2017 movie than Cobra Kai. And that's really in terms of fan service and in terms of like what this movie is, being a Ghostbusters movie itself. But I don't think that that's a bad thing. I just don't think it ever really hit its potential of being truly something special and truly something great as a Ghostbusters property. And what you were saying, Nick, I do think it's just missing a spark. It's missing that one thing that makes this movie special. That's not just what if kids found the Ghostbusters stuff? Because that's cool, but like I could just watch the trailer, and I feel like I didn't get much more from the movie than I did from the trailer.
I think that's
Andy
a good way of
Cortez.
putting it. I'm curious though, before we go on, to see how people like. I'm curious to see what Snowbike Mike thinks about this movie, because he's never seen the original. And we walked out, Tim, and I
Goddamn it.
said to you, I was like, I bet people are going to get more out of this if they've seen the original. And you actually disagreed. You were like, actually, I think people who haven't seen the original are going to get a lot more out of it. And that kind of that resonated with me. I'm like, you know what? It's so close, and pays so much, homage to the original, that's almost treading on like a remake territory at this point.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm curious about that.
to expand on that just a little bit, I was saying specifically for kids going into it. Like, I can just imagine myself watching this and the way that they treat the legacy of the old Ghostbusters. Like, I'd be so fascinated to know more. Like, who are these guys? Oh my God, there's this whole other thing. Like, I think that the kids being able to watch this for their first entry into Ghostbusters is really, really special and really, really cool. But also, I do think that some of the plots, it is just a one-for-one plot when it comes to the villains and stuff. And I don't think that was very well done in the first movie. And I don't think it's very well done here, because it's just the exact same thing. Andy, what did you think?
I'm pretty much with you all, except I think I'm a little bit lower on it. I feel like what would have really pushed it over the edge for me would be that I wanted the humor to hit a lot more than it did for me. I felt myself giggling at Paul Rudd whenever he was on screen. And aside from that, not a whole lot else. I feel like there was constant attempts at it, and I just wasn't laughing like I wanted to. But it picks up near the end, and that's where it kind of like really got it. I got engaged with it, because for the most part, I found it a little boring, even though the kids are doing some interesting things with different plot devices. I just found it kind of underwhelming until it started picking up near the end. But I will say that the score, I think, is phenomenal, and the implementation of the score has a very old school vibe to it. Very whimsical. Whenever the characters are pondering on something, you hear the background flute just and it's I haven't seen that in movies a whole lot as like the last 15 years or so. So I had a good appreciation for that. And yeah, I think the movie picks up towards the end and I think it got a lot more entertaining towards the end of it.
Talking about the score, a little fun thing. Cynthia Miller, who performed the Andis Martinote for the Ghostbusters original movie,
Yes, of course.
which is the weird spooky wave type sound, like that whole shit.
Yeah.
She came back to do
that's
the
cool.
opening scenes for this, which is very,
that's
very
cool.
cool. Kev Dog, what'd you think?
I was like kind of shocked at how much I like this movie. I thought, like, I was going in there very concerned about it, but from the very beginning, I felt like it was a roller coaster, didn't stop, and had my attention the entire time. Like, right from the start, like as soon as the first few minutes, the little device that Greg has gets thrown underneath and starts beeping, and it's like, oh my God, you know what that means? Like, they're not fucking around. There's a ghost that suddenly just came into existence, and it's like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I feel like it hit for me on everything. Like, I thought that the humor, there were several like characters that, like, the only one that I like was like, he's not, podcast is a bit much.
I love Bucket.
But that being said, I feel like he is like emulating a stereotypical character that like makes sense and is based off of someone. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to touch on that a bit more. I think tonally the movie is really great. Like it has such a great presentation to it, and it reminds me of watching just a lot of movies that Tim and Nick were mentioning, like Hook and stuff like that, where it's kids but it's got a really good tone and a good feel to it. I just feel like they needed to do a couple of drafts of just like, we can hit that joke better. There's something else there that can make that moment feel worth it.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like there was a mixed bag of jokes, but there was still more jokes that I enjoyed than less. The biggest thing I think this does is like the pacing is nonstop, and a lot of times I feel like we say that in a sort of we're criticizing way, but I really dug it. Like I didn't want to waste time with like building relationships. It's like they did a good job introducing people, establishing the relationship, cementing it in, and then moving forward. Really dug that. The other thing is, I like the lore of the first one a lot, and they're very small moments. And when this kind of focuses on the lore, I think it did that in such a great way that like is kind of an homage to the first one. Yeah, I mean overall, I was shocked. I really like there's this whole trend with doing sequels for movies that were done like 20 or 30 years ago, and that can be very hit or miss. And I think that like this is up there with one of the ones I enjoyed a lot.
Greg Miller, it's time. What do you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Thank you, Tim. I think at the start that right here from everything you guys have said, nothing you have said has sounded off base to me. I personally loved the movie. I, however, was not. I did not fall in love at first sight with the movie. I put up a little review on YouTube yesterday, and I was saying in it and trying to put my words as I just come out of the theater and I was bottle feeding my son. As it got going, I felt like we were thrown into it, right? Like it is nonstop, and we're just spoiler free right now, so we'll get into what that means. But like to Kevin's point, they don't want to waste your time building relationships, telling you what they tell you what the relationship is. You kind of get it, you go on, and they explore from there. What I found is as the movie progressed, somewhere in the middle of it, right, with the kids, I realized, oh, this isn't Ghostbusters. This is Monster Squad. This is Monster Squad with the Ghostbusters. And if you're not familiar, of course, Monster Squad, one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, where, a bunch of kids, Wolfman has nards, where the kids get together and form their own little group that, go on to take on Dracula, the creature from the Black Lagoon, all the monsters that the adults don't believe are actually in their town. And I think when we talked about Ghostbusters 2, the criticism we kept lodging at it was like, this is clearly so influenced by the cartoon. This is a movie designed for kids, right? This is a movie designed for the youth. You know what I mean? It's what Nick was saying. When I say it's a kids movie, I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's a, for your little kid to go on or it's brain dead or something like that. This is designed to feel like a Goonies, a Monster Squad, insert whatever 80s franchise you want to put in there. That is a bunch of kids get together and have it. And I think once that clicked for me, I enjoyed it more. And as the movie went on again, and we saw the relationships play out, we saw the characters interact with other people. And like, I, fell in love with Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, and what she was doing and who she was, and seeing how she interacted with podcasts. And a podcast at first, I was like, this kid's kind of annoying, like in terms of just being this podcaster. But then the more of him, the more I got of him, I was like, oh shit, I really love this kid. Nick?
I'm sorry. Are you trying to tell me that the kid who's loud and his only purpose in a piece of content is to insert bad jokes over and over again is bad? How dare
I don't know how
you,
anybody
sir?
could get behind that. I don't know how
How
anybody could
dare
get behind
you,
that
sir?
kind of
Best
personality on a
character in
podcast.
the movie.
But what's been so heartbreaking for me as a fan is, dying today. We watched it last night, dying today to have a rewatch. Because I really think on second viewing, I'm going to really love it from the start. Because now I know who the characters are. I know what the tone of the movie is. I know what the objective is of the movie. And, there's a part in the end, I think that, again, once you see the kids really become their movie, once it really becomes their thing, there's a great scene where they're all in the ecto and the mom's there and she's like catching up to what's actually happening. Like, and the kids immediately like, we know, mom, blah, blah. Like for me, that is like the snapshot I would show someone to be like, this is the movie you're getting. This is that movie where the kids are smarter than the adults. And so have that expectation going in. I think you're going to have a great time. And I think it's a movie that, is designed for young kids. Cause again, like Ghostbusters 2 is great because it was the cartoon come to life for me as a kid in 1989. This movie is great, and if I was a kid, would be great again because it is that fantasy. It is that power fantasy of putting on the pack and going to help the Ghostbusters, going to actually stop these things. And so I think there's a great movie here, both for the young folks and people who like Ghostbusters, people who have never seen it before. But I think it is an expectation setting thing, which I think is jarring in a way because what were we expecting from a new Ghostbusters? We've gotten 3 movies before this, right? 2 in the same universe, 1 now that's been completely forgotten, apparently. Like, you're like, okay, like this is what it's going to be. Like, I think this does a great job of resetting what expectations for Ghostbusters is, what the universe is, and bringing in new people.
Andy Cortez.
I thought the movie started off incredibly strong as well.
Mm.
Like I love when
Great
a
opening
movie.
scene.
I love when movies start off with a really cool kind of, I don't want to call it an action sequence, but there's a threat, and there's like, there's
Action.
It was an
there's
action sequence.
action, there's consequences, and I think it starts off incredibly well, and then the movie begins, and I audibly wanted to go oof, just to just to see what Greg thought, even though I really love the action sequence. But it was really after that that just kind of um again, I needed a bit more there. I enjoy the actors, and I know that they're capable of pulling off these roles. I thought Carrie Coon's character, the mom, um, goddamn, I mean, she this is like a 20-year-old
Yeah.
in a 50-year-old's
But see,
body. Like what?
I think they did
Carrie,
that.
come on.
I think they did that because to have a nice juxtaposition with McKenna Grace's character, and
Yeah.
so I'll disagree with you a little bit. Like I think I was more into the movie at the beginning than I was by the end. By the end, we're sort of treading on well-worn territory, and we'll get to that when we get to the spoiler section. But I actually think that this movie has a lot more character development by far than the original Ghostbusters. Right, the original Ghostbusters movie. The only thing we really know about these guys is that they're friends and they work together.
They're starting a business.
We know nothing else about their backstory, right? And so I was actually really relatively interested in these kids moving to this small town with their mom.
Most of them.
And I think, what's that?
Most of the characters. I feel like this movie has a lot of characters. And yeah, like the McKenna's great, but like the girlfriend-ish character, like
Lucky.
Well,
Lucky?
unfortunately, yeah.
That's
Unfortunately,
her
the Finn Wolfhard and
This is a story about a girl named Lucky.
yeah. So yeah, Lucky and Trevor are the two. Or her brother's name is Trevor, and then Celeste O'Connor's character's name is Lucky. Those characters, I think, were a little underutilized, and I think that some of the heavy lifting for the comedy fell on Finn Wolfhard's shoulders, unfortunately, and that just didn't work for me. I think Logan Kim had great comedic timing, and obviously, you want to talk about the best comedic timing in the industry. Paul Rudd is in this, and he had some bangers, but even some of his stuff fell a little bit flat because you're only as good as your scene partners. What I will say is, like, I really enjoyed that part of the movie where they moved to Somerville. I think it's beautifully shot. I think the locations and that diner they had were stunning, and I kind of got lost in that for a second, and then I remembered, oh, this is a Ghostbusters movie. We're actually going to get some more of that stuff too. But I think that for me, the McKenna Grace's portrayal of the Phoebe character is spot on. I think this is one of the criticisms I had of Ghostbusters 2. If you guys remember, I said I don't like Harold Ramis in this. I don't like he changed the Egon character. And she has a line in this movie. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I think you can kind of glean from, I think it's important. You can glean. She says, I don't really understand emotions like everyone else does, right? And that I don't feel emotions. I forget the terminology she used, but that's
on the inside I'm screaming.
yeah, like basically overstimulation calms me, right? And that line right there is exactly Egon's character from Ghostbusters 1. Remember, he has that wonderful line where he's like, I'm terrified beyond what is it?
I'm terrified beyond the realm of rational thought. Egon,
Yeah.
what do you got for me? Sorry,
don't
Venkman.
know.
I'm terrified beyond the realm of rational thought.
Yeah, but he says it
Capacity of rational thought.
capacity for rational thought. He says it super calmly, right? And I love that. And I loved that about Egon's character because he was the person that like reacted differently, and that allowed him to look at the world differently. And I think McKenna Grace did a great job just nailing that. Like I believed she was from Ghostbusters 1, Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah.
And that was super cool. It's just when we start getting into, and Kevin, I love the lore too. It's just when we start getting into that lore, I'm like, this is the hardest part of Ghostbusters. Is nailing the tone and nailing the plot and making it feel like it's in the Ghostbusters world, and it's the same but different. And unfortunately, this was same but same for me, which is why by the time we get to the climax, I was like, okay, like we're good, like we can wrap this up. And like,
see, I disagree on this one, and we can get into this, I guess, maybe with more spoilers later on. But my thought was, and this is not, and I'm not trying to be like a weirdo about it, but like as somebody who's seen so much Ghostbusters content throughout the years, whether it be cartoons, comics, video games, I've always been like, oh God, we're doing Gozer again. You know what I mean? Like we got to be involved with Gozer and Ivo Shandor again. So when they did the Shandor Mines, and I was like, well, here's how this movie's gonna go. I wasn't stoked about it. I thought they did a great job of, as we said earlier, Ghostbusters 1. Yeah, they sprinkle in a couple plot elements, but again, for the kind of movie it was at the time it was, they don't beat you over the head with it to where you're like, well, right, the magnesium tungsten alloy they're using is very
Selenium.
weird. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be a big deal plot point. I liked how they put this in there and made it, and like when no spoilers really, but when Podcast and Phoebe go to, check out the mine and they're looking through it and he's explaining it and we're reading the books and we're seeing it. I liked the setup of like, oh, like there's a specific set of events that need to happen to bring about Gozer. Like this is Ivo Shandor's plot. And like, I thought this gave better context to what happened in Ghostbusters 1 without us ever getting that.
But it
Definitely.
raises the question of like, if I'm sorry, Kevin, if the plot of Ghostbusters 1 was the end goal, what was was this like a secondary goal? Like, was this just in case, like a backup?
He's like Batman. He's always got a plan.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's what you get the feeling of. Like they were working on the mine to get the metal, which I thought was a cool thing of.
Hold on.
Okay.
From now on, we're going full spoilers,
Yeah.
everybody. Okay.
Oh yeah. So hold on. Before we do that, so do the quick recommendations. Like, does everybody think you should go see this movie? Andy Cortez.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Koala.
Yeah, 100%.
Tim Geddes.
Yeah, I think it's good. I don't know that it's a necessary in theaters movie, but I do think that it's worth watching for sure.
Nick Scarpino.
I would agree. I think if you're a Ghostbusters fan, see it in theaters. If you don't really have, a stake in that, then I think you should watch it, but I don't think you have to rush out to go see it in theaters.
If you're not a Ghostbusters fan, you've never seen it, I'd love to know. You tweet me your impressions of it if you go see it, because I'd love to
great
know.
question.
Yeah, from like whatever. I don't care. I never saw anything. What you think of it? Obviously I would tell you to go see it, but I'm gonna say that. Well, no, I guess I would have told you to go see 2016. So, anyways, back to it. Sorry. Now spoilers full on. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the way they incorporated the like metal and it being like that's where they mined it from, to me made sense that they had like an altar there for it.
But if you had the altar there for it, why bother with New York where people could stop you, where there's cops? Why not just do it in this small town where you've killed all these miners and it's there? Like that was the one big question I had. I was like, what is the point of this temple? The whole point of the mine was super cool. Is to
the
get
whole
this
point. The whole point of I can't remember the guy's name.
Igor Shandor.
Ivor.
Evo.
Yeah.
Evo.
Evo. Yeah.
Street
The whole
Fighter.
point was
Andy thinks
he
Street
wanted to rule Earth with not Zool, Gozer. Yeah. So like I think the idea is that's where they had the temple, but like the real like that was meant to be their headquarters, right? The top of this big
Or
castle.
J.K. Simmons,
I know, right?
What a great cameo.
In New York. Yeah, in New York. Anyways, I also like that it added lore to the if they pulled the dogs into the trap, it like ripped half of her apart. I thought that was so cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And
And
that's
enjoyed
what I was
that
talking
as well.
about with like giving more context to like, Keymaster and Gatekeeper, Vins and stuff. He talks about the past they've had, right, in Ghostbusters 1 and stuff. But I never thought so much of like the terror dogs, / them being this ritual that needed to happen. I appreciate that they brought back and were like very on point. They're like, no, that you have to fuck. These two have to fuck to make this happen. And shit like
Although,
that.
that scene is one of the scenes that I thought took me out of the movie. And I think
one
that
walk up all goofy like to
that
each other?
scene belonged to me more in the 2016 Ghostbusters than it did in this one.
I agree with that. I was goofy for sure. Yeah.
It was too goofy. And that's the thing is like the tone of this is serious and it's grounded. And I liked that. And right off the bat, I'm like, good. Jason Reitman, he's not dumb. He understands that tone is probably the most important thing to this movie. And that was the biggest problem we had in 2016. And then there was just a couple elements though. The Muncher thing kind of took me out. I was like, this is weird when he's spitting all the steel and stuff.
Oh, I like that because I thought it was actually fun to have a ghost that had consequences.
Yeah.
I mean like, so many ghosts are just like not a threat to anybody. So the fact that like you have to dodge and stuff.
And there are consequences in this too, right? That's the first time we've seen ghosts. We actually see a ghost kill someone in this, which we hadn't seen before. So that's cool. But I just thought the Muncher thing was like, okay, this was clearly made for kids. And I mean kids in the worst possible way, where it's like, this is just a toy they're going to sell, which is unfortunate. But the rest of it I thought was good. Andy.
I don't think that meetup scene felt out of place until like the final 10% of it, where they kind of like start kissing, whatever. But I think it was necessary in the way that we saw Rick Moranis acting all goofy and in part 1. Like I didn't feel like it was super out of place, but I think it could have been shortened a tiny bit in order to feel right. And plus, I just seeing Paul Rudd laying on the rock was just great comedic relief.
good.
Like seeing him on camera makes me laugh because I know something stupid's about to happen.
And this is no disrespect to Paul Rudd because I freaking love him, but at one point you get that he's doing an impression of Rick Moranis as that character in this movie, and it's fine, but it takes you out of it a little bit.
But to me, that made me think, oh shit, the dogs have like
Personalities.
Yeah, that's still Vince.
Yeah,
It's Vince Clothor, right? Like the Keymaster Gozer, and that's
it's
the
like
same thing of like this. Sorry, Kevin, but just drop it in there. The same thing with Gozer's performance here, right? Olivia Wilde, right? Of like she is. I thought it was so cool the way she pet the terror dogs, just like Gozer did in '84 in Ghostbusters, right? Like clearly they were doing impressions of these characters that came because they're trying to keep that lineage.
And I will say the Gozer effect was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, where it's like the weird proton energy going through her body with like the scales. I was like, this is really, really cool. I wish that's almost the things like I wish we had more Gozer in this movie, but I know that would have kind of ran its course.
Greg, I need you to like fire me or punish me or something because I said Carrie Coon is 50 and she's 40.
I wanted to bring it up, but I let it slide. I didn't.
She's
You know what
40,
I mean?
and a lot of people will say that I just thought that she looked older. No. It's just more of a. I said 50 and I went, wait, those kids are way too young to be like parents that age have way older kids, and then I kind of realized, no, Andy, you're way older now. Like people
it's
your
more
age.
like a testament to the RTV that you came from and your own parental upbringing that you were like, no way this mother could be this bad at being a mother. Like, there's plenty of bad moms out there, Andy.
I don't know. She just felt like part of the crew a lot of times when she's interacting with these kids. She felt like more of a hey, I'm 10 years
definitely
old.
More mom than her, like, or more of an adult than her, I guess.
Yeah, she felt like a what's the word I'm looking, a contemporary more than like an actual motherly figure. But I thought a lot of those emotional beats hit. I don't know. I think they were handled well with Harold Ramis at the end. I was kind of worried about it. And I'm worried, like, don't let him talk, and they didn't let him talk, and I thought that was enough to not be too cheesy and bad. It still got goosebumps. It still got my eyes all misty just because it's such an easy moment, and I thought they nailed it. And she goes up for the hug. Carrie Coon goes up to hug Harold Ramis as this fatherly figure who had left her, and Egon was never there for her, and she hated him his whole life, and she realizes obviously this was part of his duty to protect the world, and it worked for me. Like, it fucking worked for me. And then the Ghostbusters showing up at the end, goddamn, Bill Murray still got it. He has still got it, man.
Yeah, well, if you want to jump into that section, I think that was like, and I'm not even trying to pat myself on the back too hard here, but I called this movie to a fucking T of like exactly certain things was gonna happen. But like, I thought when the Ghostbusters, hey, flat top, and they show back up, when it started, I did like at first there was just like this is pretty ham-fisted. They're really bringing them in like this. Okay, they're just there. And it was like, dude. Literally, they were just like, I'm like, this I think is from Extreme Ghostbusters when the real Ghostbusters show back up. But I was like, and then I was like, all right, well, fuck, I'm in. They're doing the thing and they're talking and they're beating each other and they're hanging out, yada, yada, yada. And then when Phoebe's shooting the, her Neutrino wand and fighting Gozer and the hand comes in, I did and then they showed him and I was like, holy shit. Because if you remember my predictions for this leading up to it was going to be like just from the back, just his boots, just people looking at him going Egon or whatever. And then like kind of like what's that one Pixar movie or DreamWorks one with the dad and the
Soul?
Soul.
No, the ones of the two brothers that they.
Soul.
I swear to God, damn it.
Onward.
I thought it was gonna be a far away shot of her hugging Egon, and so to have him fucking straight up there, I was like, oh my God, they're doing this, and I personally can't believe how well they did it, and in a way, like I was. Like I said, I think this movie, if you watching the trailers and being a fan, was predictable. I knew where we were going. I knew what the destination was. And I still bawled at the end. Like Ray saying, I'm sorry. And then Ernie Hudson being like, I should have called. Like, I fucking was gone. I was destroyed. And it was just like, so. And then obviously, Carrie Coon hugging him was like the emotional beat of the movie. But to see the original 4 Ghostbusters, they're shooting their proton packs and then have that conversation, I was like, oh my fucking God, I was destroyed.
Although
I'm a little more mixed on it, where I'm with you that I liked seeing him and I appreciate that they committed to it because they very easily could have not done that. And I'm always a sucker for this type of Harry Potter and where you see the family behind it, and it's like it's what Rise of Skywalker was scared to do. They semi-committed to it, but it's like, oh, the power of all the Jedi are behind you. It's like, okay, but where are they? I want to see fucking Hayden Christensen. But I think that the setup for this, similar to the first movie with the Crossing the Streams, where it had a little bit of setup and then it was the big thing that allowed him to win. In this movie, it has no setup, and they're just like, cool, we're crossing it, and then they immediately get uncrossed, and then immediately it's like it just feels like there's a lot of just elements for the things that need to happen for an action scene. And I think that combined with the lamest intro of these characters I could have possibly imagined, the entire movie, I'm like, oh, they're building up to it. It's gonna get there. And when she calls him on the phone, that entire conversation, I was like, this is what this is what I'm sure Greg was waiting for, is the filling in the history of where have they been, what's been going on. And oh my God, it was exposition. It was clunky. It didn't feel good. And I was like, and Ray saying burn in hell, I was like, this is a lot. And it was like all to get to this moment for the payoff. And what the payoff was there, but them coming out, their reveal, it might as well have just been the camera, turn it over, and just 3 old dudes standing there. No music cue, no like interesting anything. It's just,
I thought we were going to get it. I thought when we're building up to it, I thought, her pack's going to fail. Gozer will knock her down, come in for a killing blow, and then get a blast, right? Then from off screen, we get a blast in a line. Just,
and it's
flat
Vegeta.
Top, and Gozer's just like, what's up?
Hey, flat top is a great line, but I'm with Tim on this, where I don't think it was handled all that well. I wish the call, we saw the call to Dan Aykroyd in the trailer, and I wish she had just left a message. I wish that had been like left up in the air, because I think that would have helped a little bit more. And I kind of have a problem with that, with how Egon's character is sort of painted in this, right? He's kind of I'm not quite sure why they're saying they're sorry to him, other than they didn't believe him. But yeah. I don't know. That whole setup just feels really, really ham-fisted and doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel like it does any of the characters justice. I don't know. I didn't like that. I mean,
I liked.
Despite any of that, it doesn't matter, because I guess the problem I have with this is that he still abandoned his daughter.
Yeah.
And I don't care how many pictures you have of your daughter on a post-it board, you still weren't there for 45 years of her life, or 40 years of her life.
According to Andy, 65.
Sorry, Andy. And by the way, I'm 41, Andy. So what does that say about me? Andy,
I
I've
would
been
have said
tell you this for a while. I'm your father.
Yeah, I for me personally, so dial it back, Egon Spengler can burn in hell, right? When Dan Aykroyd, or when Ray says that, that's the first time I teared. Well, not one of the first times I teared up, where I was like, "Holy shit!" I didn't expect that. So I love that they put me on my heels for that, because to your point, Nick, of like they didn't do the character justice or whatever. Like, I'm glad it was unexpected. I'm glad it wasn't just it was all hunky dory and we just slowly dissolved, or Egon was this great guy, or yada yada yada. I like that there was this conflict between them that is what caused them to go their separate ways or whatever. Like, I thought that was interesting and different, and that did it. Yes, it is a giant block of exposition in a way I just don't think ever would naturally happen, right? Especially because of how fast it goes from like, well, now I'm definitely hanging up on you, to like, well, here's what's going on, interpersonal details of this relationship, Andy.
Plus, let me wait till the end of the call to say that I'm Egon's granddaughter.
Totally, right? I'm the whole time, like, blurt that out. Tell him who you are. You know what I mean? Like, get this going or whatever. Yeah. To Tim's point, that was like, I don't think it was handled extraordinarily well. I still loved it. Like, I still wanted all that information. I still loved him at the red phone in the occult bookshop and yada, yada, yada. And Dan Aykroyd on fucking camera, not in his goddamn baseball cap and sunglasses that I see him in every time.
Yeah. Why did the group not believe him, though?
I think it was, again, I've seen it once, and so I need to get back to you on exact things. We'll get back to you. It sounded like the idea that, like, ghosts are going down. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're getting less and less work. Why are you so hung up on this? Why are you so crazy about this? Why are you pulling away from us? And then he
stole all their shit, right?
I forget. Yeah. Is this a sequel? Is this a sequel to 1 or 2?
In the build up to this, they said it was a sequel to 1 and 2, but I think it's pretty clear that this is a sequel to 1. I don't know if it never happened. I think they left enough wiggle room in there where Dan Aykroyd was like, ghosts were still happening, but it went from once a month. It sounds like if they really wanted to, they could. To me, I would say you ignore 2, and this is just a sequel to 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't that where he got the occult bookshop? I guess he could.
Yeah, that's the one to hold over, right? But I mean, like, whatever, like, how many fucking alternate universes do the same things happen, just a little bit differently?
My point is, like, if 2 happened, then this relationship, then this dynamic, the whole point of this conflict makes 0 sense. Because in 2, we find them in the same situation where ghosts are gone and they've lost their business. And so if Harold Ramis' character said, "Hey, Ghoster's coming back, we need to go do this in Midtown," I can't imagine all these Ghostbusters being like not jumping at the opportunity to want to go help their friend.
And not to mention so I mean, without them, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if there's an article I've missed or something like this. Without even getting too far into this, I think we're having a moot point argument where, again, Carrie Coon is 40, right? So we're talking about like Ghostbusters 2 would have happened in 89. Egon didn't have a kid then, or even a wife. Like we start adding up the time period. It just doesn't make sense. So Ghostbusters 2 didn't happen in their world.
Yeah, I mean, also they mentioned the Gozer's arrival in Ghostbusters 1, but they didn't talk about the Statue of Liberty walking around.
Yeah,
and I feel like that but again, would have been something would have come up. Yeah,
I'm with you, Kevin. I think I'm with you. I just think the wiggle room there was like Paul Rudd was like, man, New York in the 80s, it was like The Walking Dead. That was 89. So if you really wanted to fudge it up a bit, I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you of like,
Yeah.
you would have also heard about that. But like,
Well, look, I mean, either way, you have to have a conflict, right? And I understand that. I just was disappointed kind of how this was it felt like it was very wedged in, and it kind of felt a little bit. I don't know. I wish they could have come up with a better way of introducing that conflict.
Yeah.
Because this kind of felt like Friends, right? Where it's like, oh, we're just going to come up with this conflict and throw it in there for the
Right.
sake of dramatic purposes. And it was like, oh no, this movie was doing so well until we got to this point.
The main issue I had with that was that they were like, then he took all the proton packs, but they came with proton packs.
yeah.
So it's like, I guess he didn't take all of them, huh?
But also, like, you know what?
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, is like for 40 years, your friend took these proton packs and said, I've been doing this thing, and you don't call him and check in. I'm like, I don't know. It just seemed like
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
paint
a
any
quick
of them in
call.
a particularly
Yeah.
good light. Yeah, it's like,
Hey,
why don't we just go by and check on our friend and see how he's doing? Oh shit, there's a mine with a temple in it with Gozer.
Yeah,
and
remember that
the-
god
the-
we found? There's a
Or how about-
replica of his temple on the wall here,
Yeah.
and there's
How
a hole.
There's a hole with all this bubbling red shit in it, and I set up all the proton packs to shoot in there. Also interesting,
Elo
quick
Chandler's
thing.
dead body is here. I'll take a picture of it and send it to you.
Yeah, exactly. Right? They have so many cell phones. This thing again, though. Like, and I know that this is. I'm not trying to give it a pass. Everything we're saying and criticizing is correct, but I think for a young adult kids movie, right? Like, that's enough. You know what I mean? Of like, but I'm with you. Yeah, of like, clearly the Ghostbusters would have believed this, even if you ended on bad terms a decade ago. Once you find this much information and to show them that you'd be able to turn it around.
This isn't the mayor they're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
And
But
it's
one thing I
unfortunate.
thought was interesting, sorry, just to shout out because it's a stupid little Ghostbuster thing, is that, Tim, you mentioned in the Ghostbusters 2 in review that, when Winston says, what about the proton packs? That was the first time they ever called the proton pack a proton pack. This movie never calls the proton packs proton packs. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they could have handled it differently, but I mean, they had to do what they had to do. I think, to me, it took me out when the three showed up, just sort of hanging out behind the car, in the outfits and the proton packs. I was like, all right, but I know that this is what fans definitely want. I had the same reaction I had with The Force Awakens, where I'm like, the adult person who's spent countless hours, talking about film and arguing these stupid points and having people in the comments be like, Nick is so pretentious, knows that this movie's not great. But the kid in me that sees the freaking Millennium Falcon, I'm crying. And I was crying at the end of this. I was crying at multiple parts in this, because it does tug. When she sees his Spangler's, coveralls, right? And when those little moments, I'm like, oh God, they're
Very well
really just
handled.
pulling it out of me.
See,
man.
like, and that's again, like, to not, I'm never giving it out. Every criticism is correct on this so far, but it's that idea of like what this movie's trying to accomplish. Whereas I think Ghostbusters in 1984 was trying to be fucking Citizen Kane or something, but it was like this. All right, there's these three dudes and they're starting their own business, and that's what this movie is. Whereas this one is that fan service, and it's for a younger audience. And does this have to make how much exposition do we need? Where do you
Right.
the whole Finn thing too, where I was with you, Trevor, you know what I mean? Of like, when he shows up at the Spinner's Cafe and checks in, and the guys behind, the cooks make fun of him a bit. I was like, oh, we're gonna get a little bit of a bullying subplot here. Nope. He just comes in the next day and works there, and he's friends, and he goes up there because he's really not the main character.
Yeah.
He just has to go up there to see this thing, and he also has to get the Ecto-1 running. Like, that's what he's doing, and rather than him just show up with that shit, you get to see that. It's like, oh, okay, so recentering this movie and just making Phoebe the main character makes more sense to me in terms of what's happening and why it's happening.
If anything, just let him go explore on his own, because he's a loner and feels cast out, and let him go discover that haunted hole in the ground, as opposed
But it's like,
to
it's that thing where he can't do that because that's Phoebe, right? Phoebe's the one who can't
Right.
make friends. Phoebe's the one who can't tell jokes. Trevor is the one who isn't going to have that trouble with, and it's rare we see that, I think, in movies.
I thought the kids.
Before we continue on, let me tell you about our sponsors.
We got an ad break right here.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. It's cozy season, and it's time to go all in on the cozy, baby. This year, MeUndies wants to help you surround your family and friends with comfort. With new classic plaid and holiday sweater prints, MeUndies is turning up the comfort this holiday season. I love their undies. Obviously, I'm wearing them right now. My entire body right now is actually covered in MeUndies, and I would never have it any other way. And you get to match your whole family because they got a whole bunch of different things. They got these PJ sets. You can have some plush robes, some slippers, whatever you decide. Everyone will be rolling into the new year comfy. It's available in sizes extra small through 4XL. MeUndies has a great offer for you guys. For any first-time purchasers, you can get 15% off and free shipping right to your door. Your days of fighting for your life in the mall parking lot are over. To get 15% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Go to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning. Next up, shout out to Uncommon Goods. The holidays are about more than friends and family. They're about winning the title of Best Gift Giver Ever, a title that Kevin Coelho vies for and mostly succeeds with every single year. And Uncommon Goods can help make you a Kevin Coelho and give you an edge on this year's competition. Gia's been using this to get a lot of her friends some stuff and family. They have some fun puzzles. They have these fun pint glasses that are based on different baseball fields out there. Really cool stuff. Uncommon Goods also offers uncommon experiences. You can choose from live online classes in mixology, cooking, flower arranging, embroidery, and more from hand-picked artists and experts. Plus, with every purchase you make, Uncommon Goods gives $1 to a non-profit partner of your choice. Really cool stuff. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/kindafunny. That's uncommongoods.com/kindafunny for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. And next up, shout out to Stamps. We're all trying to save around the holidays, and that includes saving time because no one wants to spend theirs in line at the post office. Dodge all of that with Stamps.com. Stamps.com lets you compare rates, print labels, and access exclusive discounts on UPS and UPS services all year long. Whether you're selling online, running an office, or side hustle, Stamps.com can save you tons of money and stress, not to mention time over the holidays. Kind of funny, we have a ton of things to give away. We do physical giveaways all the time, and we have to ship them out. And thanks to Stamps.com, it makes it a lot easier for Joey Noel and Cool Greg to stay sane and save a lot of their time and money. Plus, you can get discounts of up to 40% off USPS and 76% off UPS. Save time and money this holiday season with Stamps.com. Sign up with promo code KindaFunny for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code KindaFunny. Go for it, Nick.
I thought the kids in the diner were going to be the Walter Peck characters, right? And that's kind of something this movie was missing. This movie
On
doesn't
IMDb, one of them is named Thickneck, so there you go. Yeah, a name like Thickneck, he's got to be the bad guy.
So I mean, that was one of the things too that I think they smartly utilized in the original Ghostbusters to heighten the tension was that they had a human antagonist, and it was a person who was a bureaucrat, and there's nothing scarier in New York than bureaucracy. Let me tell you. But this movie kind of was
foul ball right there, but I appreciate the swing.
Damn it. Damn it. Give it to me, Greg. What is the line I was looking for?
I have no idea what you're looking for. I just thought you're taking a shot at the bureaucracy of New York City.
No, I was trying to do the Rick
dissertation by one Nick Scarpino.
I was trying to do the Rick Moranis line at the end of it. Like many slurs and slogs will. I can tell you that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's Friday, ladies and gentlemen. But no, but I love that character, and that character is neat. We needed something in there trying to get in Phoebe's way because for the most part, she's just kind of like. The movie unfolds pretty seamlessly, even when the ghost comes and she loses the ghost. I guess they tried to make the town sheriff that
she almost murders him with the proton pack.
Yeah, that was a weird take.
Weird
that was a
moment.
weird scene.
But man, I'll tell you when they fire up that proton pack.
Oh yeah, that noise.
Andy from KindaFunny.
I also thought there was kind of a missed opportunity with having Phoebe saying she doesn't believe in ghosts. Because that line was really only so that podcast could say, well, I'm a kind of conspiracist, a supernatural podcaster. That's what my podcasts are about. And I thought her not believing in ghosts was going to lead to something else a bit bigger. But I mean, she's playing chess with the ghost at night with her grandfather.
That was one of the things that I had an issue with was that nobody seems really scared about anything in this movie.
Are you afraid of no ghosts?
And it's not like, I mean, I talked to Tim about this and he was like, well, it's not like in the original Ghostbusters people were like terrified. And I'm like, that's true. A lot of the terror was played for laughs, but at no point in this movie are any of the kids really like jarred by any of these experiences. Even when they first see Muncher, it's more like excitement than it is scare, like terror. And I think that was unfortunate. Like that was a little bit of a misdirection for me.
He lunges fucking metal at them.
Yeah, but it's about kid empowerment, right? Like
for
them at that point, right? Like it's that idea. Don't get me wrong, you're not wrong. It's the idea of like again, ghosts don't exist in their world, so it's not really something to be afraid of, I think, for them. And then Phoebe's introduction is that it's her grandfather. Of course, I would immediately be like, how do you know this isn't the devil? I've watched enough fucking Conjuring movies to know you're going to take my soul. Yeah, I'm going to have this fucking guy from Aquaman out here trying to get me out of a dream state. This is an Insidious reference. I'm burying it, but I'm trying. Anyways, like, but she doesn't know that. She's just out there. It's a helpful ghost helping her make the, get the proton pack functioning or whatever. And then you get out there and it is fun to go shoot this ghost. I thought it was really interesting on the car ride home talking to Jen how underplayed ghosts were in general in this thing. You know what I mean? Where like when Gozer is back in full swing and we get the I believe it's magic and all the pink shit shooting out. I was like, here we go. We're gonna get non-stop ghosts. We get one minor. We get the eyeball shooting ghost toy we all had from that, and we get Muncher. I was like, oh shit, all right, that's it. That's what's happening out there.
The little marshmallow guys.
Oh god. That was another thing where it's like I love Ghostbusters with all my heart and soul. You probably don't know that about me. I keep it close to my chest. But I hate that when you do a Ghostbusters anything, there is a Ghostbusters checklist of shit that has to be in it. And for years it's been Terror Dogs and Gozers, and of course it's Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And so like I love the fact that cute. I love the fact that cool, there is a pomp and circumstance. There is a ceremony to get Gozer. You need to have the Terror Dogs, possess people, gatekeeper, keymaster, yada yada. Great. We're actually doubling down on this ritual. That's awesome. Why the Terror Dogs being in Walmart, an abandoned Walmart that only Paul Rudd's in, must have been shot like fucking. This must have been April 2020. They were like, Paul, we got to film this scene, but we can't have anybody else in there. We're sorry. He's like, I got it. Don't worry. We'll hide it. We'll put in CG people. No money. We can't put CG people in. You are in an empty Walmart all by yourself for some reason.
Paul, it's an empty town.
First off, I'm
there's
sorry.
clerks in Walmart. There's somebody. There's more cars in the parking lot. It's not that fucking weird Amazon store where it just knows what you bought.
This movie takes place 5 years in the future. It's all animated.
Anyways, before I get too far off the thing, like Terror Dog being in there to possess him, I like. Why did the spirit also make the Stay Puft Marshmallow minis? Obviously to sell toys. Obviously to sell fucking Stay Puft Marshmallow mini toys to morons who will buy anything Ghostbusters related. They're adorable. I love them. Don't get me wrong. But it was like, why are they doing
everything Porgs wanted to be. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. But that brings up a question though, right? Like, wasn't the process that the gatekeeper and the keymaster mate, they bring about the coming of Gozer, and Gozer makes you choose your own destructor? And wasn't that the Stay Puft?
Yeah.
That's
so that was Gozer, right? The Gozer.
Yeah, Gozer says choose, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I could, he has the whole dialogue about the thing with the boy and all that stuff, and then the Stay Puft comes in. I was missing that point. I was like, what are they going to choose as their destructor? And then it never came. And I was like,
Gozer learned from her mistakes. She just laid on her little thing that time. She was like laying there.
Also, they split her up pretty quick this time, so
yeah, but she does just lounge. She lounged for a bit,
Yeah, I mean that's what you do when you come from another dimension.
Can I say that the biggest laugh I got out of this whole movie was Paul Rudd walking into the Walmart and the way he walks, and then he opens up the ice cream thing and picks up and goes, Jamocha.
That's what I'm saying, man. Anything this guy does
really hard too.
The fact that
you say that was your biggest laugh. I also really appreciated how hard you laughed at the Cujo joke when they double back to Cujo just mauling something, and you're like,
when they doubled that when they cut back to the next day and it's Child's Play.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's so funny.
Smart. Yeah, that's.
And the thing is, like, we're laughing at it because it's
so inappropriate.
I think we're mostly laughing at it because in our minds we know it's Paul Rudd putting on that movie for the kids.
Not the character.
So that's just like another funny choice, and like, man, he needed to be utilized more. And I loved even the sequences of him breaking them out of jail, or not breaking them out, but just taking them out of jail because the kids were put in jail or whatever, and him being like, you two, like trying to be the fatherly figure.
Yeah. When she turns around and yells at Trevor, and he's like, me? He's like, no, not you, him.
Paul Rudd is just a delight. He's a delight. He always will be.
It was great. And he had, I thought, great chemistry with McKenna Grace. I thought those two were just phenomenal.
Let's get to the plot, everybody.
We're doing plot?
Jesus Christ.
That's the show we do, yeah.
He became a dad. Little Benny came loose. What is his name? Greg Miller. He's gonna say the plot. He'll drink recap juice. What is his name? Greg Miller. We're gonna let Tim host.
What? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ghostbusters Afterlife. If you can believe it, it's finally fucking here after a million failed projects, a reboot, and everything under the sun. Bill Murray saying he'll never come back, saying he'd come back, won't come back. Dan Aykroyd for years and years continuing to say he wrote Bill Murray a role of a lifetime, and he said no. Harold Ramis dying, a Ghostbusters video game, we are here. We are getting a third Ghostbusters movie in the Ghostbusters universe that you know and love from 1984. We will begin in Somerville, Oklahoma, where we have one of those towers. It looks like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Remember that one, Richard Dreyfuss? Remember he's making the old mashed potato tower thing?
I tried watching that. The intro for that, very, very long. I was like, Steven Spielberg really kind of tightened it up after that movie.
Yeah.
It's a little
I haven't
hard to
seen
get
it in
into.
fucking years, but I remember it was like when Blockbuster first brought out the all you can rent pass or whatever.
Yeah.
I went and got like that because anyways, they got a fucking mine out there. It looks like a giant tower in the background, and a big old proton beam shoots up into the sky and making all the noises and shit. And then what happens? We see a man racing out of the mine, holding a ghost trap. I don't know if you see it right away. Gets in the car. He's driving like a bat out of hell. Spirit's chasing him. Eventually, Spirit hits the car, right? Car tumbles around over the thing. Dude gets out. He runs through a cornfield, runs up to his old house with the ghost trap, flicks some things, and then stands there and waits and watches the fucking cornfield. And then what happens? The cornfield kind of parts.
Stranding.
And the dude holds up the ghost trap, and we're like, oh, fuck, he's got a ghost trap. What's he doing? And it's Egon. It's clear. It's very clearly Egon. He's got the ghost trap. Like, oh my God, what's he going to do there? And then he's waiting, and he's waiting, and waiting. And then we see, like, in the dirt, we see these, like, ghostly footprints. Remember, a lot like that movie, Paranormal Activity. Tim, stop being a coward. Let's do Paranormal Activity and review when I come back. And it goes, boom, boom. And then Egon hits a patented ghost trap, stomper thing. And what happens? These like capacitors over here, they flicker and they don't do the thing clearly. And I think Egon pumps it once or twice. I will apologize, everybody. I saw this movie once last night. I had a great time at it, but I was there very much as a fan, not on a work capacity. So this will be and they do the thing I hate on it in review of like, hey, we got 3 sets. Let's keep coming back here at random times, having similar things found and covered. The mom goes down the pole. I'm like, fuck, how am I gonna remember when it was the other pole dance? Anyways,
I had to do the Eternals review, and they cut back and forth between time periods like 50 times. I'm like, I'm lost.
No one knows the cross we bear. You know what I mean? You got these clowns, the Anthony Carboonies, they show up, and Anthony Carboonies are getting roses thrown at their feet every day. They go, oh, Carboony, you're so good. You're so funny. He doesn't have to fucking remember anything. He does one whip, it comes on the show, talks for 4 hours. Everybody's like, he's great.
I don't. Amen. You don't want to. Let's
you couldn't be more right, Greg.
Real quick,
you always got my back.
Did anyone else notice that the intro to this movie is the intro to Detective Pikachu? Like the exact same thing with like when Mewtwo was like chasing the car, flips the car down the road. It's like literally the same fucking movie.
Yeah. This is better though because it's Ghostbusters.
Cool. Yeah, cool. This one's
he stomps the thing, doesn't work. He runs into the house, shuts the door, hides the ghost trap, then moves a chair and sits there with his patented PKE meter. There is a new thing on it though, a little red deal that he hits, and it turns into a little PKE stun gun. Anyways, though, he waits there in the chair. And you would, of course, immediately, there's a million things I will talk about and we will miss. Don't even get me started on the score being exactly from 84, but sits in a chair very akin to the one Dana Barrett got possessed in and caught in, right? Mm-hmm. Sits there, waits there. The spirit comes in behind him, creeping in, right? The fog machine, very, very cool. Comes up behind him. The PK meter goes. He turns into a stun gun. It's a terror dog, but boom, then the hands come out. Egon dies. We'll find out later he dies there. But he dies there. He's dead in the chair or whatever, right? And drops the old PKE meter, goes underneath the chair, never to be found again until like a week later.
Not never.
Who found the body?
A week later.
Yeah.
Annie Potts.
But the moment where the PKE meter goes off, kind of being like, suddenly there's a new ghost in this house.
Yeah,
was
I love that.
I loved it so much.
Yeah. Really I think personally, again, I think as a fan and as a movie watcher, and then as I think, if I was to put on a younger set of eyes and watch this as a kid, I think it's so cool. And again, unexpected, if you remember even how I was predicting this movie, that they commit to Egon's ghost being there the whole time. I thought Egon's ghost was going to be at the very end when we saw it in the trailer, right? Carrie Coon with the light behind her. And I was like, oh shit, that's going to be the reveal to her that Egon's there. And yeah, I was so happy they did it early. And like McKenna has this relationship with her ghost grandpa getting going, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. From there, we'll go to the only Chicago, Illinois, ladies and gentlemen, where Trevor, Phoebe, and Carrie Coon, whose name in the movie I always forget, Callie. That's going to be hard because it's Callie and Carrie. We'll just call her Carrie Coon, everybody. The same thing with Paul Rudd's character. It's Paul Rudd. All right, we're not going to fucking worry about Grubertron or whatever his fucking name is.
It was Gary, Greg's. No,
Gary. It's Gary.
Gary, yeah,
Goobertron.
yeah.
Gary Gooberman. Gooberson. That's it.
Gooberman.
Anyways, we're in Chicago, Illinois. You say, Greg, you don't know it's fucking Chicago, Illinois. How do you know it's Chicago, Illinois? Well, you fucking clown. While you were there munching on your popcorn, not paying attention to shit, I'll tell you that Finn Wolfhard was wearing a Chicago shirt and they have Illinois plates. So they're definitely in at least Chicagoland, you son of a bitch. Because I'll tell you right now, all the hicks out in Decatur, Illinois, they ain't fucking wearing Chicago shirts, all right? They get laughed out of whatever stall they're hanging out with their horse in.
Nobody's ever bought a shirt in Chicago and worn it in any other state.
They got Illinois plates, Nick. All right, Illinois plate. If I'm fucking hanging out down south in Metropolis, Illinois, in a Chicago shirt, they're gonna be like, represent where you're from, clown shoes. This is Metropolis, Illinois, home of Superman.
I'd like to apologize to everyone except for Anthony Carboni.
Oh, fuck this guy. Don't get me started on him. All right? Anyways, he did text me yesterday. He said, I'm very excited for you today. So I appreciate that, Carboni. You're a good guy. You're no Jeff Kanata, but you're a good guy. Anyways. They're there. As Andy has pointed out, we have a 65-year-old mother here who just can't keep her shit together, right? She's behind on the rent payments. She can't keep anything going. The kids are taking care of themselves. You know, Phoebe's making the electricity work. You know, she's doing things in the wall.
Stealing the
She's
neighbor's
there.
electricity is what she was doing.
Yeah, it sounded like something like that, right? Or they were doing something wrong. You know, it all happened very fast. But eventually, you know, Carrie opens the door, and it's the guy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm here for the rent." And she's like,
Landlord.
"Listen, my dad just died." And he's like, "I'm sorry." She's like, "Don't be. He's a deadbeat. I didn't know him." And again, in a movie of lots of exposition, and I know we've kind of touched on this, I could have gone for more. I really could have. I held out hope, maybe, that Janine was going to be her mom. Like, where was the mom in this? And again, if she's dead, I totally get that happens. But a little bit of like, he left us and didn't say anything. He went crazy and went off on his own, and I kept you away from him. Like, just a little, what's going on here?
Yeah, a little something. That was my thing too. Is like she's so hard on him in this. And granted, the way they set it up, she has every right to be.
Yeah.
But I wish they had just kind of backed that off a little, and she had been like, "Yeah, my parents divorced, and I went to live with my mother, and he was never there for me." Like, I think that could have been okay, but instead, it makes it sound like he abandoned his child, which just feels. I don't know. I mean, I understand why he would do it, but that just feels really wrong for the Egon character. And maybe I'm looking at Egon through rose-colored glasses.
And that's the thing, is like, it feels like not even for Egon character, of course, because we think of him as a good guy from Ghostbusters 1. It just, I feel like there would have been a letter from him, you know what I mean? Or at least something where if she would have been, no, my dad went crazy. He moved out to there. He had this crazy theory about ghosts and the end of the world. And so I cut off all contact. I didn't want to be a part of it. But it's just like, even I have to go stop Gozer again, everybody. So I'm never going to speak to you. Like,
that's my thing, is like, Egon from the first movie would have not seen the problem with bringing his daughter to that farmhouse. And that's my problem. Is like, Egon from the first movie was like, remember, this is the person who's like, they're like, we had to stop you from drilling through your own head. And he's like, it would have worked if you hadn't, right? Like, that obviously was a joke, but that Egon doesn't see the world the way the rest of us do, right? The rest of us know we're not going to put a child in that situation. But I don't believe that the Egon from number one wouldn't just be like, yeah, you're coming with me. Why wouldn't you? You'll help me. It doesn't, like, you know, it would have made more sense if there was a mother character who was like, I think he went a little, you know, off his rocker, and to protect you, I had to keep you from him.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He never reached out because he knew the perils of doing so, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Gozer's coming to end the world. I don't think Gozer's like coming and then first going to go pick the skin off your child. You know what I mean? Like, just suck it up. Yeah, exactly. Because Gozer, I mean, barely even remembers the Ghostbusters, which I was kind of disappointed in. They say I think she remembers us, but I was really hoping when Phoebe walked up in her suit, which was fucking awesome that they all put on the suits. But when Phoebe walked up in the suits, I was hoping there'd be some kind of, I remember that logo or some kind of shit like that. You know?
All the adult suits that perfectly fit the kids.
Shut up.
Somehow.
Shut up. Egon made technology that shrunk them to their size.
Yeah, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, all 6'3", and these kids put these on, and it's like when I look like I put your shirts on, Greg.
Yeah, I know. I like a podcast is the only one who went through the trouble of making his own name tag. They're like, get in the car. He's like, hold on a second, I gotta fucking make one of this podcast.
Nice.
Anyways, no rent, no rent. Remember Spider-Man? You remember that guy? He's gonna get triple rent in the new one, No Way Home, in theaters this December. Anyways, no rent. She's like this, and she's like, too bad you're getting fucking evicted. And she's like, all right, let's fucking go to Oklahoma, everybody. And so we get a little montage of them driving. They're driving, the car breaks down, and they're fixing it, and they're driving, and they're reading, they're being pals and stuff in the car. They're kicking shit around in the car and stuff. Maybe there's a joke made here about how Phoebe, is a dork, but I don't think so. No.
That's when they're going to school.
Yeah, you're right.
Which
So
is which was a really good comedic moment. And
But,
I
yeah.
just
Oh,
wanted
dude, when
more
she
of
winks
that.
at Paul Rudd, and he's like, "Was that a joke?" And she's like, "Yes, that's why I winked." I was like, "That is
So
to Nick's point." I'm like,
That's Egon.
"That is so Egon of Ghostbusters 1." And if you were trying to be like, "All right, we got to spice this up. You got to be a person. You got to make jokes and shit." This is a weird wink.
Yeah, the deadpan stuff, I needed a lot more of that, because even Bill Murray, Egon obviously is more deadpan because that's just his personality type. But Bill Murray brought a lot of those kind of just, here's a quick one-liner without much fanfare, but you're laughing, like I'm laughing my ass off watching it here, because it's just that clever and comedic of a line. And I needed a bit more of that to sort of opposite Paul Rudd bringing the heat. Paul Rudd bringing the heat.
That moment of Finn Wolfhard being like, "Tell one of how are your jokes going," and then coming back. I think even that, I was like, that hit, but it could have hit harder. They needed a beat more. Where
I loved it.
Where he stared at his mom and was like,
Yeah.
That was good. That
loved
was
it.
good.
I liked it a lot.
I think that the idea was good. I think the idea behind a lot of these jokes was good. I just feel like the kids. I mean, again, this is no disrespect to these kids. I mean, we're comparing them to some of the best comedic actors of their time. It's just, I don't think they quite had the timing down for some of the delivery with this stuff.
So anyways, though, we get to the farmhouse, the old dirt farm. As we pull in, we see, of course, the Book of Revelations quote you remember well from Ghostbusters 1, of course, the black sackcloth, seas boiled, skies fell.
This is normal. That's another good line.
Yeah, exactly, totally. You didn't tell me. Wait, he's got another one too. I'm sorry, everybody. I wish I could see this movie four more times.
We were going to
before I
murder
did this.
house or something.
Yeah, he didn't tell me it was a murder house. And one of the side is just dirt. Dirt is just written in fucking spray paint. And again, like they're doing through it's this weird walk, right? They're doing through the environmental storytelling here that, like, okay, clearly Egon was out there. This isn't the Egon that had a grip on everything in Ghostbusters 1, right? But they just don't give us enough on the nose, enough, in all of Dan Aykroyd's exposition, even of just like this blowout of like, he went crazy. He was, this is what was so crazy about him, other than he stole all the shit and left and went to Oklahoma.
See, that's my thing. That's my thing. When we get to the Bible quotes, I'm like, you're telling me Egon took the time out of his day to go spray paint those on the side for what purpose? What do those serve?
I think Egon. I think the purpose was
you're supposed to paint.
Egon is leaving clues, right? Like the whole reason he hides the trap the way he hides the trap is that he knows that, fuck, I have to enact the final plan. Like, again, I get this part. I get I'm so lost in this conspiracy theory that I have gotten to the final plan. And the final plan is I'm going to hide this trap in a way the ghost can't get to it or know where it is. And then let them kill me so that I can convince whoever comes here next. Maybe he knew it would be his granddaughter, Phoebe, that I can convince them, hey, here's what's going to get the Ghostbusters, hopefully, to come here, to see the quote, to put it together, to understand what's going on. That's what I took away from it. But again, I just don't, I don't think it was, in terms of the narrative of like, other than it's show don't tell.
It's clunky.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, though, they get in the house, they look around. We have the symmetrical book stacking from Ghostbusters 84 that we all love and appreciate.
Again, that funny, but a lot of these, I'm like, this is a lot of Easter eggs. This is a lot of homage that we're getting in these. I think they could have backed off it just a little bit.
I don't know. I thought it was subtle enough that like I didn't get that till right now, and that makes total sense.
I thought the symmetrical book stacking kind of beat you over the head. If you had seen the first one, you were a fan of it.
I mean, I have seen the first one, but that's something I remembered. And like, it is a moment, like there was a moment where I was like, that's weird that the books are just stacked that way, and now it makes total sense. Yeah.
But the reason the books were stacked that way was because the librarian ghost stacked them. So was the librarian ghost in his house, or did he stack them that way?
I think he just stacked them that way. There's a lot of stuff in here that is like, again, I don't think it's a reference to that part of it as much as like, hey, remember Ghostbusters 1984? I think if you remember I don't remember if I put it in the trailer reactions or if we talked about it or if it's even on a piece of content or just something I fucking tell people. But in the run up to this, when they did one of the trailers and it was the Trevor character working on the Ecto-1 underneath the hood, laying on the thing, working on it. And he's using the same mat that Dan Aykroyd used in 1984 in the same way when Dana Barrett walks in. When people commented on that, Jason Reitman's like, if you like that, we got a whole movie of that. And this is one of those things in there where it's like the books are stacked the same way. When they go, when Phoebe comes downstairs, and I guess even when the rest of them probably come downstairs, in the background there is the little door hanger from a hotel that says, you know, the maid is out or they want the maid or whatever. That is from what they had that in the original Ghostbusters on their little you know, the room they all shared together. And they walk that line of beating you over the head with stuff that I think would have been maybe cool on its own, like the crunch wrapper in the jumpsuit. Again, I'm like. It's cute, but also like we didn't need that. So opening the Ecto-1 glove box and the Twinkie falls. I'm like, all right. Like I thought to see in one of the that's really fun to like, okay, we get it things when they had a wide shot of the downstairs when they slid down the fire pole and they had the wide shot. I saw the, you know, the Rick Moranis, Vince Clotho, like colander with all the shit on it from Ghostbusters 1, right? And I was like, oh, that's a cool Easter egg. And then of course the next like 3 scenes later, podcast comes down and puts it on. Right. And I was like, all right, yeah, like this is, I get it. Like I still think it's funny and cute. And if you had missed it in the foreground or whatever, like I get what they're trying to do and it works. And it is this push and pull of nostalgia plus trying to like do something goofy for this movie. And to what we've said a million times, right? It's like, if you hadn't watched this, if you are a 13-year-old or a 7-year-old or whoever's watching this, you just think it's a goofy thing and you don't realize that that's a thing to it. And it's whatever. And it's like,
yeah. I feel like with the thing that he put on his head, like that isn't that podcast thing. Like he seemed like everything that he saw, he picked up, looked at, put on his face, put on his head, put on the outfit. Like I just
I didn't think it was out of character for him. I just thought it was like, oh, we're really gonna beat over your head like these things.
Similar to like if you're doing this, if you want to be a little more subtle about it, you go either the crunch wrap or the Twinkie. We don't need both. Yeah, we should have gone with the Twinkie.
Fire poles.
Twinkies funnier. And the fire pole was a weird choice. It's cool aesthetically, but the fact that he went to this house and was like, I'm going to install a fire pole here.
But like, doesn't that like, I like that being part of like the fact that he doesn't do a good job emoting, being that like he put that in there to remember like as a homage
I'll buy that.
to the fire station.
Right,
also,
that's how he processed that emotion of missing his friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it, but my first thought was like, it's like he's a scientist. You're going down into this like sterile laboratory where is this all this dust and raccoons and shit falling down there, fucking with the proton pack.
I also feel like I don't like if I saw a fireman's pole, I wouldn't use it immediately. I'd find out where it goes. I got to make sure because what's the exit strategy here? What 100%. If you climbing up the fire pole? The mom and the daughter did, and it's like I don't know, man.
Like at that point, they have the PKE. They've understood we're doing a hot and cold game. We understand again. Me as the Ghostbuster, I'd be like, fuck no, I ain't going down there without a pack. Like, clearly this is the devil. This is Patrick Wilson trying to get me to go fucking be part of Insidious 5. I'm not just going down there unprepared. I don't know what I'm getting into.
It detaches from the ceiling, Kevin.
Like, you know what I mean? Then you're stuck there. You got to starve or eat all the leather shoes that are down there.
Yeah, all you got to do is go through all the outfits. I got crunch bars and Twinkies galore in here.
All the mold down there, yeah. Anyways, we're way off base, but you understand what we're talking about. Then the first earthquake happens, right? They all get underneath the table. Again, Trevor has a good line, but it's been spoiled by trailers, right? I thought it was just like, hey, remember that summer we all died underneath the kitchen table? From there, they got to go get some food, so they ride on into Somerville, right? Just a picturesque Oklahoma town. I'm sorry, Nick Scarpino.
I'll tell you what, the director's cut of this movie is going to be insane because like half the trailer was not in this movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, that scene where the kid pops the bag of chips wasn't there.
Not in this movie.
And I was very insight
with him working on the car that you were talking about. Not in this movie.
Yeah.
There's like half that trailer was just like not. I'm like waiting for that scene. I'm like, whoa, we didn't get any of that stuff, which I love. By the way, I love when they do that shit.
Yeah, totally. Him working on the car in this movie was weird. Like I feel like I missed something of why he was doing it.
He wanted a car.
Like it just kind of
wants a car
because he's almost 16 and just doesn't give a shit. He has nothing to do.
There was also that line in the trailer where they were like, "Yeah, this is the only car that has an engine."
Right. She goes, "You went with the hearse," and he goes, "Yeah, this is the one that had an engine, right?"
But they only had this one car in this.
Yeah, there was no other cars.
Yeah.
Well, no, there were. There was a whole bunch of caddies out in the back that were rusted out and fucked up. And like that was when they showed it, I was like, oh, clearly Egon's been trying to keep Ecto-1 up and running, so he gets all these different Cadillacs to get the parts he needs to put into the Ecto-1.
Part him out. That's cool.
Yeah. And that's why there'd be just the one engine.
Yeah.
And dude, he fucks that thing up when he takes off the jump.
Oh
Like,
my God.
I
Insane.
winced when I
Yeah,
saw
in
the
real
old
life.
they'll go like that. I was like,
You
oof.
just bend
It
the shit
crunched.
out of that frame.
Yeah, that
God
would have
bless him.
destroyed the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It.
Anyways, they drive into Somerville and they go to Spinners, everybody's favorite. What do you call it? Roller hop. Andy? You remember these things when you were a kid?
Yeah, it's a little Sonic driving. It's
Yeah,
one of them
yeah,
roller
got it.
hopping, dude-dapping.
Could you go for a cherry limeade right now?
Oh
Andy?
my God. Give me a cherry limeade and maybe some cheese fries. Oh,
No ocean water?
God
No
dang.
ocean water?
Anyways, they roll up. They make a comment. I can't believe this kind of thing still exists. They start looking around a bit, and then, of course, Finn Wolfhard. Just what a fucking name. He sees Lucky, and he's like, "Hold on, I'll see you guys later." And he goes on inside.
And a great reaction there from Carrie Coon. I love that moment.
And she's just like, "Whatever," right? Like,
No, like he goes, "I'll be right back," and then she kind of like, "Why? Where are you going?" And she looks and sees where he's going, and she goes, "Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is expected. This is the type of person you are."
And so he goes in there. He gets the job application. He's filling it out. Starts talking to Lucky. It doesn't do well. Obviously, I don't own the place. Yeah, blah, blah. It's just a stupid kid's conversation, of course, when you're flustered with a girl you like. And then, of course, what is it? Thick neck, I assume, and Swayze from the thing. There's Elton, Swayze, and Thick Neck. I'm not sure where they all shake out in what they're doing in there, but we'll say the chefs, and they make fun of him for it. And again, it's just a weird little scene. Then the burgers show up. Sorry, go ahead.
Fun thing about the credits of like maybe people like Thick Neck or whatever. I don't know if you noticed, but Ernie Hudson was credited as Dr. Winston Zedmore. He was the only one that was not a doctor in the old movies. No,
yeah, Ernie Hudson with the glow up in this. Winston with the glow up in this, right? Of course, going from 11.5 a year to owning whatever giant fucking corporation he owns with all these awards. I don't know exactly, but cool.
I love the idea that that Ivan Reitman and all of the production crew didn't really know the kid's name at the time, and they just said, "Hey, he's got a thick ass neck. Name him Thick Neck for now, and then we'll put his real name in there."
Yeah. Man, make sure we change that before the credits go. Though we want to give him a complex.
The movie comes out, the kid sitting in the theater is like, "Thick Neck." My name was Joseph.
Motherfuckers.
There was some weird editing in that scene because like what it kind of looks like very quickly after Finn is walking out of the restaurant to go sit with his family, and like there's like a bunch of people in a car making fun of the thing that just happened.
Being
like, "Oh, Casanova." And it's like, when the fuck did anyone have a chance to explain this to these people?
You're on the clock.
Yeah.
Listen, man, world travels fast. Word travels fast.
Yeah, these kids, they're all texting. They're all WhatsApping. You know what I mean? You ever WhatsApp, Kev? There's probably a tic-tac about it. They're all over there being like, "Hey, like, you'll never believe what just fucking happened. This new kid showed up and he tried to fucking say this girl owns it. Spread the word."
With Carboni.
Anyways. This is where the
right?
burgers get delivered, and the waitress starts asking a few questions about what they're doing, where they're from, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're at the fucking haunted house." He's like, "The dirt farmer had a family."
Wait, another thing that I thought was weird was everyone that works here is no more than 17, 18. This waitress, 85 years old. And it's fine. I'm okay with it. But I felt like that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, 100%. You are 100. I want you to know, like, last night as I'm laying down to go to bed, juiced up on Ghostbusters energy, I started doing like a little bit of like, shit, I know I'm loose on this one, trying to piece it all together. And I was like, all right. And then an old lady tells them about the dirt. I'm like, was she the waitress? Weren't the waitresses all like 16?
Honestly, for a second,
I mean?
I thought it was a reference to Not Another Teen Movie where they were like, a reporter's going to
hey,
come here. Hello, teenagers. It's 90 years old.
Yeah. Steve Buscemi.
No, there was go ahead.
They go back to the thing now that we've established that he's the dirt farmer. And like, that's a weird one. They go back to the farmhouse. Everybody starts getting ready for bed. Phoebe has the chessboard. She's laying down. The chessboard gets knocked down. She puts it back up. She sets it back up. Right? Does that sound right? That sound right? And she drifts off to sleep, but the PKA meter goes off, but she doesn't hear it. When she wakes the next day, one of the chess pieces has moved forward, but it's time to go to school.
Now,
wait a second. Heard
this was the point where I wish there was a little beat of like what's going on here, and all I needed was like one line where she told Finn Wolfhard like, "Stop screwing with my chess set."
Yeah.
Except she just looks at it and goes, "A ghost," and just now, you know what I mean? That's like there's.
I don't know if she goes a ghost. I'm with you that I like. It's out of character for her mother or her brother to do this, and I thought she would have made a reference to it to someone as well. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's not out of character, right? It would have read that Finn would have totally screwed with her that way, right? Like
I don't
Or
think Finn knows how to
Trevor
play chess. That was my takeaway. Like, I don't think he's like
fair, but then the
Yeah.
next day when she wakes up and she immediately puts the knight in a position, right? Then when she comes back, the other knight's there. That's the point where I'd have been like, who's screwing with me, right?
100%. That is when I would have
Who's
been
screwing
like,
with me?
something's
Like,
going on, or
right.
who's you would
Yeah.
expect, or like like, thanks for playing chess with me last night, and the mom's like, what? And she's like, gets out of
Yeah.
the car and runs away, kind of shit.
Yeah, me as a science, I am totally against.
Yeah.
Not totally against the
Superstition.
supernatural, but
Yeah.
like she mentions it, and it's enough to mention. So like, I definitely agree with you, Nick, that I would have liked some sort of back and forth with her brother or her mom.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma and Poppy, I know you've been dead a long
Spiritus
time,
Sanctus.
but my friend Andy Cortez doesn't believe in ghosts. And so I need you to go just fucking haunt his room.
Let's
all right?
just.
If you can push over on him, that'd be great. All right.
I'm not saying I don't believe in them. Like, as
I got a voice message
I'm
from Greg
sorry,
on text.
I'm sorry. I need to cover my bases. Also, Satan.
oh,
I haven't
right.
talked to you in a while,
Dear baby
Beelzebub,
Jesus, Satan.
but I thank you so much for the Nidhogg wins and everything else you've blessed me with in this
Thank you
life.
for the blackberries.
My friend, no, thank you for the blackberries. My friend Andy Cortez doesn't believe in you. So I need you to go and just fucking haunt him, all right? Put his lights on the
God.
fritz, tip his TV over, you know what I mean? In exchange, I'll give you Kevin's soul. Thank you.
You're also just completely
No, not
misunderstanding that
again.
I was talking from her perspective. I was saying like me, a scientific learner who doesn't believe in the supernatural.
Ah, sorry. See, these prayers are already sent, so
Yeah,
I can't stop them
sent
now.
them.
They're done.
But the
You know
good
what I
thing
mean?
is either ghosts are real or the devil's real. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can't have one without the other. No, sorry, I had a voicemail to you. What was this, Tim?
Oh, just a couple days ago, Greg sent me a text voice memo, and it was like 53 seconds. And I looked at it, and a chill went through me, where I was like, "Oh no!"
This is how
And
it feels.
now it's getting to me. Now it's on me, and I started listening. It's just genuine, fun work stuff. He was pitching me this cool idea, and I fucking swear to God, for 53 seconds, I was terrified that at any moment it was going to turn to a wheeze laugh. Like it was all the up and up, but I was like, at any moment this could turn. It never did. It never did.
You're lucky.
I was gonna say I'm in what I like to call an exclusive relationship with Andy Cortez. All right, so don't worry about it. No one else has to worry about the voice memos. All right.
Sorry,
Just,
Andy.
the one thing I can't believe, like I've for years been a big fan of the text, the email. You know what I mean? But having this kid, man, I can't keep my thoughts long enough to actually text things. So it's constantly walking around and I'll voice memo people, or I'm doing some other chore and I'll voice memo in the middle of it. So I thank you all for appreciate it. And I want to take some things back. Janina Gavankar, WWE superstar Xavier Woods. For years, behind your backs, I've made fun of you for using voice memos. I was like, what the fuck are these kings and queens doing there? I can finally understand why they're important. I appreciate you. And thank you. And I apologize.
Mhm.
Nick, I don't say anything back to you. Okay? Nothing.
Understood.
Everything's okay, good. She wakes up, the chess piece is moved, it's time to go to school, and you're like, wait, I thought this is summer. They said they were going to, remember, also there's this whole thing of they were going to be there like a couple weeks. Oh, I totally missed, sorry, Annie Potts showed up, Janine Melnitz showed up when they first got to the house, right? And was like, oh, hey, it's me, Janine Melnitz, and I helped him take care of the bills. There's no money. She's like, oh, so you're telling us he left us with nothing? Oh, no, there's an obscene amount of debt, or whatever she says. I thought that was a good joke.
That's
Nick, your
very
hand went up.
funny.
It's just weird that Janine would be there. Just
She's a friend.
Yeah, she's handling stuff.
A little bit weird that, like, again, I kind of got that they might be hooking up, where she was like, we were friends, or whatever she says. I forget. She does a little bit of hemming and hawing real quick. Maybe she was hemming and hawing, or like, I used to be his employee, or whatever it was, whatever. But then it was that thing of what's weird about it is like she paid the bills and did stuff. So like, but you're here now. So like, wait, is this an online relationship, or were you in Oklahoma a lot, or whatever? But blah, blah,
Well, no, my question is, if she paid the bills and like knew what was going on, and wink, wink, we used to sleep together, or whatever it is, would he not have recruited her to help fight Gozer the Gozerian? Like, why does she not know anything about what's going on with what he was doing out there? Why would
They
she
weren't
not be
talking.
like,
They were just banging. It was in and out with them.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess
How
the
it doesn't mean
subtext here
10.
is like that Egon shut completely down and went completely inwards,
Yeah,
and
no one
didn't-
believed him.
okay.
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
burned by that, so he kept everyone at arm's length. Is what we're taking away.
Yet he still had the wherewithal to be like, yeah, I should get an accountant though, and have someone come help me with my money management strategy here.
Oh, I don't think she was helping him. I think like
She was the person that was the trustee of his will, so at least he set that up somehow, right?
I don't
She's the
even
one
know
that
if it was that
presumably-
far.
She's the one that presumably contacted Carrie Coon's character and like, was
Yeah,
like,
you think
should
she
come out
found
here
the
and
dead
take-"
body?
I think she probably found it, but like, I don't know. got no joke for that. I was gonna.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Yeah.
Nick has nowhere to go.
At this point, though, I was like, oh shit, we're gonna get Rick Moranis in here somewhere because he was supposed to be back acting, right?
I'm just gonna say
Well, that was after this. You know what I mean? He started that back up after they filmed.
You're
this.
right.
It's
you're
one
right.
of those things where people go and they assault.
And also,
Rick
this
Moranis,
movie
and
was
Greg
like
does fucking nothing. He does
in the
nothing.
entire run up to this movie was not afraid to spoil every cameo. So
Sure.
they would have spoiled that too. Because God, it would have been awesome if we
bummed
didn't
about
have it confirmed about the Ghostbusters or at least Sigourney Weaver. Seeing as how when the credits started, I was like, I never saw. Oh, she's gonna be the mid credits, isn't she? There she is. All right. And it was great. I loved it, but I was just like, I'll with that when we get to it. Ginny shows up. There's no money, just debt. Yada yada yada. Hold on. Okay. And then all right, this is going. That's going great. Time to go to school. We go to school. We drop Finn off before school at Spinners because he just got the job. He just runs in there. He's gonna work there. You know what I mean? And then we take Phoebe to school. And there was a joke thing we talked about earlier. We kind of already referenced that, right? And then the look at mom. Get Phoebe to school, and we walk her in. And you know she's not thrilled to be going to this public school that's gonna have a bunch of stupid people in it. But you know it's better than staying home with her mom and doing whatever her mom's doing. Is she asbestos in the attic or whatever? Mom drops her off on the walk in though. Paul Rudd walks in too. They have an exchange. She kind of insults him about what kind of what kind of teacher would teach here. He's like, I do actually. Oh God, and they have a little flirty interaction. They're great.
Oh,
He just calls a kid dumb.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I really like that.
Hey man, teachers know they talk.
Yeah,
They totally
did.
know.
They did.
100%. So then, it's into class where he's going to show them Cujo on a VHS on the TV, which I thought was a left turn. Like trailers and stuff, I was like, oh, Paul Rudd's going to be an involved teacher. He's going to be a good teacher. And it's like, oh, no, he's not. He's just a dirtbag working summer school. All right.
Wanted to work on earthquakes in the back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So he's back there working on his earthquake stuff. This is where, again, I'm sorry, I wish I could have seen this already. The Phoebe talks to podcast here, or does Phoebe go back there first?
Phoebe talks to podcast for a while.
Yeah, okay. But it's not, it isn't the same scene as Child's Play when she goes back there to talk to him? Can I combine them here? Does everyone let me go?
Combine
She
them,
meets
right.
podcast. Podcast is always recording a podcast. Episode 46 is when it really comes together. They become fast little friends there. At some point, she goes back into Paul Rudd's area, and they turn out that she's actually smart. She's not one of these dumb troglodyte kids out here in Somerville. You know what I mean? She knows about S waves and P waves, which Greg Miller does not know about, and earthquakes and this, that, and seismologists and yada yada. And Paul Rudd lays it out, which again we've all seen in the fucking trailer, right? Somerville has no fault lines around it and no volcanoes around it, but guess what? There are earthquakes regularly. What the fuck's going on? They're this, they're that. Look at the thing, figure it out, kind of thing. Okay, that's cool. Back at Spinners, Finn's fitting in. Everybody loves him there. He's counting burgers and he's really cold. And Lucky comes in and gives her his sweatshirt, and then it's her boyfriend's sweatshirt, and he freaks out about it. Yeah. What?
That was definitely set up. The counting burgers, like that was going to be someone in the store bullying him, right?
Fucking with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like this.
Yeah, because that like felt super flat.
Yeah.
And also, does she have a boyfriend or not?
Yeah, what's up?
No, she doesn't have a
She's just
boyfriend. She
fucking
was,
with him, man.
she was fucking with him. She got him good.
She's taken a page out of MJ's playbook from Spider-Man, another fine Sony property.
Great reaction by Finn though in that moment. Yeah,
Taking
here's my
the
hoodie. It's my
sweater off?
boyfriend's. Okay, like this is a good reaction.
It's really
from him.
manly. It's got a dragon on it, or whatever she says. And she's like, you know what? We're all going up to the top of the mine if you want to come. He's like, yeah. And so they run out. And I'm just putting this here. They run out. They get into the truck. They drive up there. You're thinking they're going to do something bad to him.
Looks
They're
so
not.
much
They're just
fun.
a bunch of cool kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Again, in the 80s, these kids would have pantsed him. They would have smeared some kind of fucking Bernie thing on his cock. This happened in Lucas. Go watch it. I'm not.
Holy
If I'm
shit.
lying, I'm dying. Remember when they put that fucking? They molested
not
Lucas in the fucking room
He's
in
not wrong.
Sean Glen, Illinois. Everybody molested him.
I just wish you didn't say cock.
What-
I wish I never heard you say the word cock.
I love it, Greg. I'm on the other side
I
of
don't
it.
know what movie you're talking about, but I'm very
Lucas!
uncomfortable.
It's a movie with Corey Haim.
Corey Haim, Charlie Sheen. Do some fucking research for this show,
Read a
Kevin.
book, Kevin.
You're right. I
Just
should have
imagine
done more
Greg and I
obscure.
going, Lucas.
Everybody, your homework is to go watch
Oh,
Lucas.
God.
All right, shot in Glen Ellen, Illinois, my hometown.
Do not
not.
Google Lucas cock. It does not bring up the movie.
Oh,
will
oh
not.
my
What
god!
if I put big somewhere in there? Right?
Anyways, they're up on the top of the mountain. Everybody's being
Wait,
super
hold
chill,
on, real
super
quick.
nice.
Is Lucas about like a 10-year-old wanting to
Yeah.
play football with like adults?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's about a skinny freshman, I think, trying to play football at Glen Ellen, Glenbard West. That's where my dad's alma mater was,
course,
Glenbard
yeah.
West. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Anyways, they go to the Glen. That's a movie theater there. It was run down for a long time. Now the Glen's cool. Like, from what I hear, I haven't been to the Glen yet. Anyways, they're up on the top of the thing. Everybody's cool. They're like, you know what? We're stupid teenagers. We're invincible. Let's have a conversation one-on-one in this little thing hanging over a mine shaft. Like, that's a great idea.
Really cool.
And so they're there, and this is where Lucky's like, you know, our town sucks. He's like, your town kind of sucks. She's like, no, my town kind of sucks. Why aren't you fucking leaving here? I'm fourth generation. What does she call it?
Junk.
Junk, yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth generation. Like, and they're kicking it off, and there's like a howl. And it's from beneath. They're like, what are they doing? They hop off. Yeah, Kev.
I thought it was going to be revealed eventually that she was part of the Ivan's family.
Yeah, Evo.
So I
Evo
thought,
Shandor.
yeah, but like I don't think they got any of
That would have been cool, actually.
Yeah,
'cause that's
I think that would
really
be
cool.
cool. Yeah.
if someone in the
nice.
town was trying to stop them, that could have been an added little bit of tension for the story.
Yeah, well, that I like that a lot, actually. That's really cool.
Kevin,
wasn't.
put that,
That
in for
doesn't
the
happen.
rewrite.
Kevin, yeah, can we get a Kevin and credit on this? An and credit on the writing thing? You know what I mean? The ampersand.
Thank you.
Who's Anne?
Thank you. They jump off. There's more howling and hooting from the hole or whatever, and then like something shoots up past them. And like, oh, and then the kids all just laugh. They all just laugh. Oh man, that
It's
was
all
a scary
funny.
thing. And then like literally one of the things down there goes Gozer. And they're like, ha ha, this is fun. We have hormones.
That's one thing I didn't
Oh,
love is
hopped on-
Finn
no.
going, yeah, there was something other that said the word gozer. Like, no, you didn't hear
You
that.
didn't hear that. You heard a growl.
Yeah.
You could have left it as it said something, but nailing Gozer was a bit too much.
They
Could you imagine if I heard that word and I was like, I go back a week later, I'm like, Tim, the craziest thing happened to me. It said poser. It called me a poser.
Kevin, you want to go back up to the top and pee in this hole? Pee in this hole?
Let's go
What do they
smoke
call me,
let's go
poser
smoke
down
some
You know
butts
that
over this hole.
they were definitely hopped up doing whippets that they stole from the diner,
Oh,
right?
Anthony Carboni style.
Oh yeah.
Oh Lord.
100%.
Anyways, that's I put a bunch of shit in there that didn't happen in that order, but you all understand. I can't wait to see this movie again and buy it on Blu-ray /DVD. Then so that's what's happening there. Also, while we're here, we'll just toss it in. Remember, as we've already called it out, Trevor is bored. There's only one bar in town, not the right kind of bar, you know what I mean? And he's walking around. He found the Ecto One, and so he's working on the Ecto One. He's trying to get the Ecto One up and running. Eventually, he does it. And he turns the key, and he gets it going. Like Egon comes in, and like a little spirit fixes a little piece of the car. Andy, you're a big car guy. What does he fix there?
Oh, the Cauldronator.
Cauldronator gets fixed.
There's a wire on
And
the
the Ecto One
starter,
roars
right?
to life, and he drives it through the cornfield, and he's fucking shit up. And he's like, "Whoa, yeah, hooting and hollering." While that's happening, again, I'm combining. I love you guys. Podcast and Phoebe are fast friends. He takes Phoebe over to the mine that Finn will be at as well. They go deep into it. They find the Gozer, whole thing about Evo Shandor over there. All the not hieroglyphics, but pretty much that. And like this wall that's got some cracks in it. It's got the Terror Dog. It's got Gozer on it. Like, oh shit, this is a real fucking thing. Seems like this would have been easy to convince the Ghostbusters with anyone with prior knowledge about Gozer.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this inside the cave or is this outside the cave where it's
I think it's like
basically
the
a
entrance.
drawing?
Feels like it's
This
near-
is the entrance to it that'll eventually break and then
Okay,
give them
yeah. So
access to.
the big drawing thing that eventually
yeah,
comes
we're behind
out.
the sheet thing they have.
Got it. Okay. Because
Yeah,
I
right.
went to the bathroom, which I never like doing, but I really had to pee.
I hear you, brother. I
yeah.
understand.
So there's a little bit that I missed.
No, it's okay. Do you want me to recap anything else? Were you here for when I said cock? They fucking put this hot shit on his penis. Like, that is so fucked up in this movie, Lucas. You know what I mean? Had the girl from Goonies in it, the redhead from Goonies in it.
It did, and it had Courtney Thorne Smith, which I didn't. I totally
it
remember.
did, didn't it?
It looks like it has Jeremy Piven, Courtney Thorne Smith, and
Great.
Carrie
It's a
Green is
great
the
pivot.
actress.
I'm
you're
glad
doing.
doing the
Wolverine was
important
there.
work right
Can
now.
we do Lucas in review?
I mean, if Tim wasn't, I'll say it, a coward. We
Yeah,
would do
I know,
all
I
of
know.
Corey Haim in review.
There we go. The Corey's in review. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Anyways, so that happens. Then also, like, after that podcast Phoebe date, she goes home, and this is where the board's been moved again. She moves her piece. Now the piece moves in front of her, and then it flies off the thing. PKE meter lights up. She starts following the PKE meter around the house that night. Mom's passed out drinking wine. She gets down there. She
Bad
finds
shit.
the little puzzle to get the trap out. She now has a ghost trap. She takes the ghost trap to school the next day. This is where Paul Rudd's like, cool replica. Again, we've seen all this. What do you mean replica? Like, replica of a ghost trap. And then there's a little bit of ghost smoke that comes out. He's like, holy shit, is this real? They don't know what the ghosts are. Or Ghostbusters are. He lays it out for them again, New York in the 80s. Does he use the Walking Dead line in this, or is that just in the trailer?
I think right here. Yeah, he's at
Does he use it
Walking
here? I
Dead.
Says
can't
it.
remember anymore.
Yeah.
It's all run together on me. Sorry. They go in the back right, and he shows him some stuff about it or whatever, and this is what the Ghostbusters are, and this is what the ghost is. And is it that same day they let the ghost out of the trap? I can't remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
because then they immediately go outside.
Yeah, and he uses jumper cables, puts it on his
to power it.
car.
Yeah.
And this is I thought a fun conversation.
Not
of
his
the- you
car.
know-
He puts it on the school bus.
No, he puts it on his car. That's what blows out his
I'm
windshield.
sorry.
Remember?
Yeah. But he connects it to the battery. of
Connects it to the
bus.
school bus that podcast is running. Yeah, and I like the conversation here. It's goofy, but like this is math safe, geometry safe, science is all crazy, and anything can happen, kind of shit. Podcast says something that was funny too. They jump start it. They hit the button. They open the trap. A terror dog ghost comes out, rips through there, blows out his windshield, blows out all the school bus windows, and shoots off back to the mine. A bad sign, right? Paul Rudd gives them a ride home, and I didn't piece it together, obviously, that it was his car, but he's just driving. He picks the piece of broken glass out and throws it. Really
The way podcast was sitting there, the little podcast actor like this kid. He's going places.
Logan?
I know.
Dude, 1000%. Tim.
Yeah.
He was very funny, like just visually, like just the way like he would emote and stuff was really good, and like him just sitting there kind of leaning out of the open window like a weird dog. I thought was very funny.
He had a very cute Pixar nature to him.
Totally.
Is anybody's Discord like? Do you? Never mind. I'm having like a
No,
weird thing.
Can you hear things well?
It just
Is this
keeps on,
clear?
like-
Can you hear me? Cock.
I knew it. Fucking knew it. I goddamn knew it. He got you, Randy. He got you.
You got me. Son of a
Tim,
bitch.
I felt it.
Son of a bitch
I
still
felt
got it. He still got it.
Anyways, so Paul Rudd drives him home. This is where he meets, I guess re-meets Carrie Coon's character. They kind of hit it off, and this is where the Aztec death whistle is to scare off ghosts. I thought that was cute. I like that. Was a really scary sound for it too. They start, going around the dirt farmer's house again. At some point, Carrie Coon's character had already gone to the hardware store too.
Yeah, she went to get paint.
So
right?
everybody calls him the dirt farmer here. He's like, well, yeah, he didn't grow anything, right? Like he just fucking up there, always working on his dirt. What do you got for me, Kev?
I hate that Carrie Coon's character is just constantly giving shit away. It's like, look at this ancient looking scroll
I
with a
thought the
map
same
of the
thing.
city. Can I have it? Yeah, sure. Fucking take
Thousands
it.
of years.
This is in Sumerian.
Yeah,
Has the
exactly.
movie driven it home that she hates her father?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Mhm, we get it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you got it. So that's done. That's cool. Whatever. While we're here, again, I'm sorry this is so jumbled and out of order. There's a lot of cool things that happened for me in a weird way in a fast movie that I was watching. Eventually, the PKE meter leads Phoebe down the fire pole into the Egon's sanctum here, right? This is where she, of course, finds the jumpsuits, the Spangler. This is where she sees the spores, molds, and fungus that he continues to collect. And this is where we get a proton pack that she disassembles and immediately knows what's wrong with it, but the light Egon's operating is able to push her around to get her to fix it and move things around. Really exciting news, everybody. As you know, Hasbro Pulse has that Egon Spangler proton pack.
Wow.
And when they showed it, they showed popping off the thing to get inside the center of it. And I was like, it's the first time you can take apart a proton pack. I'm like, why would you? Then this movie, like, oh, I see why we're doing this. I'm very excited. Can't wait for it. Spring 2023. Long time to wait for a proton pack if you ask me, but I already have one, so I'm okay.
Greg, when they took apart that proton pack, how rock hard did your?
It's pretty fucking
I
cool.
can't say it. I can't
You
say it.
did not even say it. Don't.
Yeah,
You don't
I'm
need
really
to.
happy you didn't say it about this like 10-year-old girl taking apart a proton pack.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, it could be anybody taking apart. You could be.
But it
taking
wasn't. It was
Kevin-
like a 12-year-old girl. Let's just
Kevin,
remember
here's
that.
what- Then
No,
let's
that
just
wasn't where I
dial
was
it back.
going
Let's
with
just
that.
dial it back.
I just
Kevin,
thought, how much did Greg like?
when I get my
seeing
new
inside of it?
proton pack, I want you to make a video of you in one of your white tank tops, sweaty as fuck, taking it apart and working on it. You
Put a
send
little-
it to me and Nick, and then Nick, I'll give you a countdown to when it happens. Okay?
Perfect. Put a little gravy on that. too.
Yeah, I thought the line where she's like taking it apart and immediately looks in and it's like, oh, it's missing a capacitor. It's like, no, it's not. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what that is. Like,
fuck
She does.
That,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
one of those. That is
not
one of those.
bad. She
things-
wouldn't.
So
She
much,
wouldn't.
man. These
That
movies
is-
never really explain what all the tech does, and I think that's cool in some ways. In the first movie, it kind of works just because it's like, yo, there's this shit, and you context clues, you either get it or you don't. But now that we're 4 movies in, and like the fact that this little girl is just looking at this and understands what it is and how to use it and how to fix it and
way.
stuff, I'm like, why? Like it just weakens the entire universe.
It does give you that
Especially-
moment where you're like, I get that she's smart, but some people, it would still take you years and years and years of study to understand how this stuff works. Like the fact that you can understand it versus the experience it takes to actually be able to like fix it is kind of different.
Great
Like,
moment though of wow, how'd you do all this power like on your own? And
How'd
then
you
he
make a cyclone or whatever, a cyclometropper or whatever?
Yeah.
So
What's the
small.
fucking thing Tony Stark made? The
Accelerator.
whatever,
Flux
the arc
capacitor.
reactor, whatever the fuck. How'd you make it so small? And the light shines all his degrees on the wall.
Yeah,
That's
really good
But you
money.
get it. You're real smart.
Oh, you're a genius. Anyways, fun stuff. We're on the proton pack. Hooray. This then jumps us pretty much straight over to her and podcast going
Shooting
to
the
try out the
proton.
proton pack. Yeah, they have the proton pack. They have the ecto goggles. They do, to Nick's point too, of like footage that hasn't been used, right? Like I remember in one of the things, maybe the international trailer, them turning on the proton pack and using it for the first time and it coming out all limp and barely going like 2 feet the stream or whatever. But this time it works great. Blasts all the bottles. She's like, "Did I hit him?" He's like, "You destroyed him. You evaporated him." Then immediately they hear sounds, right? Because of course we already talked about it. The fact that the mine was to get this special metal, which is the metal they used in Dana Barrett's apartment building to bring about Gozer. The smelting plant is still there. They hear noises coming from it. They go to investigate it. It's one muncher, voiced by Josh Gad. It's up there eating metal. They're like, this is a great chance to test out the proton pack. They shoot it. They get it. They have it contained for a little bit. Then podcast tries to roll out the trap, but it just falls to the side, and Muncher's able to pull off and run
Great
away.
moment. That's a good comedic moment.
Yeah. While this is happening, Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon are on a date, like a weird lunch date where they are drinking and having Chinese food, but whatever. They're off doing this kind of thing, and that's happening over there. This is where we get a bit of exposition about, the kid's father was fine with everything with Trevor, but because Phoebe's a little bit more like Egon and like a little bit different, he wasn't about that, so he bailed because he's a piece of shit. And then maybe we talk a little bit about how she hates Egon some more, just to really drive home to let you know that she hates her father.
Hate it.
While that's happening, Finn has been racing around the Ecto One. Now he races onto the road where he finds Podcast and Phoebe, Proton Pack and Ghost Trap. Hey, what's up with you? We need a ride into town. Or actually, they need a ride. They get in the car. In the car, the police scanner picks up the fact that, hey, this guy's reporting that some kind of animal fucking ate his sign or some shit like that. They're like, cool, you don't have a license and you failed twice on your driver's test. Drive us on into Somerville. Let's go see what we can look for and stuff. And this is where they drive around. They eventually start seeing some paranormal activity. Then Muncher's munched on a sign here. He's eating thing over there. Finally, they see him munching on the hydrant. They race over, start chasing him. The hydrant sprays water, hits the Ghostbuster symbol, washes off all the dirt. I fucking got chills in that moment. I was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, that was a neat one.
The way the
racing
Ecto One drives around is so cool. The way they every turn that it takes, it fucking drifts every single
Always
time.
drifting. That's great.
But it looks cool and it plays really well with all the dirt and stuff. Also, the changes that they made to it, incredible. Like
Gunner seat?
The gunner seat, 10 out of 10. This little VR RC car that like the kid just was like, all right, this has endless power. Who knows? But it's really, really good. Really loved it.
And so
wait, hold on. I have a question about that. So the car was not made by Podcast. That came with the Ecto One.
Yeah, that was already in there. That was when he got in there. It was in there. Yeah,
okay. Because when we see the little ramp
Mobile
go down, I was like, how convenient that they have this little tiny ramp for this RC car that Podcast made. I was like, I don't believe that for a second.
At what point did they put the gunner seat in? That had to have been before he brought it to Somerville, right?
I mean, this is post Gozer. Post Gozer, they put the gunner seat in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's also when they made the RC thing and they put the little trap door in there and shit.
I'm
Fast
curious
little
about those
fucker.
stories. It's
Yeah,
not small.
real
The
fast. Oh, yeah,
shot
super
of the
fast.
car with RC in front of him, like, that's dope as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of shit of like, again, for the kind of movie it is, they're just like, I'm going to suspend all disbelief on that.
Yeah.
And just be like,
RC
that's
cars
really cool.
can go really fucking fast.
There's a
Like
moment
60
after,
miles an hour fast.
There's a moment when they go over the bridge. Yeah, when they both stop together, I was like, "That's pretty."
Yeah,
cool.
that was really,
That's
really
pretty
cool. Yeah. Anyways, they race around Somerville, and Phoebe's hanging out in the gunner seat, and she's blasting, and she's I start blasting. She's firing off, and she burns the spinner sign. She burns a bunch of stuff. Probably would have killed a whole bunch of people. She almost dies a couple of times too. But eventually, they chase Muncher, who's desperately trying to get back to the plant or the mine or all that jazz. They chase and stop him just short of the bridge with the RC car, with the gunner seat, with the thing. Boom, they got him. They trapped him. They've trapped their first ghost. They've stopped Muncher. They turn around to drive home, get stopped by the police. We then go to the police station where in the cell we start catching up with everything, right? Where Trevor puts together when they're talking about Gozer, like, wait a second, I heard Gozer in the fucking thing when we were doing this thing. Lucky's there too, but it's because her dad's the sheriff. Finally, Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon show up, spring these guys from the big house. However, they're not going to get to take home the ecto. They're not going to get to take home the proton pack and trapper and all that stuff that's staying there. This is when Phoebe almost kills them. Oh, I skipped a big point, but we've talked about it already, of course, that with her one phone call, Phoebe uses it to call Ray Stantz on the Ghostbusters number because, of course, in her room, she had been watching old Ghostbusters footage on YouTube and watched the commercial. She calls Ray again. I feel like this is one of the parts we've covered already really well. Calls him at the occult bookshop. Doesn't to the very end lay out that she's Egon Spengler's granddaughter, but asks what's happening. He lays out the fact that he kept getting crazier and crazier, and then one day we woke up and he took all the equipment, he took the Ecto 1 and he ran off, and Ghost, Venkman thought we had done our job too well. Ghost calls were down to once a month kind of thing. The firehouse is a Starbucks now. All this other shit. Everybody's gone their own way. Pete Venkman is a director of advertising and marketing at some college. Winston is a big successful businessman. Ray still has the occult bookshop, and that's just kind of the cards that fall in.
I guess it wasn't a Starbucks anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it a Starbucks? Because we see it.
It wasn't, but I used him to. Maybe just a throwaway line from him, but like maybe Ray's trying to be funny. Maybe it's something altogether that whatever. But yeah, it's what it is. And then she gets hung up on by the sheriff, Lucky's dad. Again, I appreciated the start of this conversation. I didn't expect it to be he can burn in hell, he can go to hell or whatever it was. But yeah, it is straight up exposition, which again I dug, but could have been delivered a bunch of different ways in a better sense. But gets the job done for what's going on. They get out, they go home. The plan is afoot at this point, right? So they know what's going on. Paul Rudd and her won't. Oh no, it's not even that, right? She won't hear of it. Paul Rudd leaves with his shrimp that has been unrefrigerated for hours. He goes to Walmart. This is where at Walmart, again, we've already talked about this. Terror Dog shows up, eats dog food. The mini puffs show up, which again,
so good. Makes no sense. Yeah,
they make no sense, but they're cute and they're stupid. And like this is another one of like. Not only is it like, okay, I don't get why they'd be here. Like, we just hang on them for so long as they burn themselves, they make themselves into s'mores.
But it's so funny and cute. I don't know. I liked it.
It just went. I'm totally agree with you, Greg. Like, I'm with both Kevin and Greg where I don't mind their existence, but that they just kept on. It's like this. It's like they had every sort of sequence animated, and we're like, just show all of them. We animated a bunch of different things. Yeah. They're either cooking, they're getting stabbed by the toothpick, they're getting stabbed by that. It just kept on going. I was like, what is going on here?
I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Why? I want an answer that's not just like, that you got to have Stay Puft. It's like, if you're got to have Stay Puft, like, explain why little guys are coming back here. Like, there's just, it lacked even a cause.
Right. It doesn't service the plot or character development at all, so it doesn't necessarily need to be in there. But this is where this went. This is one of those moments where it dipped into slapstick. For a second, I was like, oh, they're going to be terrifying, right? It bites him, and then I thought, oh shit, they're going to start chasing after him. But they couldn't care less that Paul Rudd was there, so they're not really a threat to his character, which to me, I was like, well, this is going, now I'm aware that this scene's going on a little too long.
I do want to point out that I'm really happy that the ghosts follow traffic laws. They would like, if they're on a road, they're going to take a left on that road. They're not going to go through just like the void. They're going to go.
There's parts where they go through the restaurants and stuff, though. There was that moment where they go through the actual restaurant. Fuck you, Andy.
Just let the joke be there, Nick. Jesus.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was a joke. Andy, do it again.
There was just a couple of sequences where like you see the crossroads, and it would go, and it would like make sure it stayed on the road. And I was like, that's a weird thing that a ghost would do. Nice.
Anyways, so Paul Rudd then gets I liked the Terror Dog sitting on Paul Rudd's car, and I forget the completely gone windshield. I appreciate it too, and I also for Paul Rudd being literally a goober in this fucking movie. I liked his keys on his belt, like you were talking about Mocha Chip or Mocha Java, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Anyways,
wait, real quick.
That's what it was. Jamocha almond. That's what it was.
Yeah, which is my favorite.
Jamocha almond fudge, so good.
Yeah, Baskin Robbins flavor.
Oh,
the keys not making any noise for whatever reason really upset me. Like when
Sure.
he was walking, the keys are swinging, and we're hearing ambient noise. We're hearing him mumble, but the keys are silent, and it makes me uncomfortable.
It's odd. I think I speak for the rest of the group when I say your keys not being silent has the same effect on us.
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
The kids really own it at this point, even though they
My
don't have
keys
their
make a
stuff.
lot
They
of noise. This is the
understand.
first I'm fucking hearing about this.
They understand. They understand that
Wait,
they
hold
are
on,
the
Andy.
only
Is this a
hope.
thing? My keys make noise? You guys talk about this?
Kevin,
quieter.
I've never once made a comment about your keys.
When I
Right?
pull them out, you're talking about when I pull them out, I got fucking 30 keys on there.
They could be quieter.
Greg, you hearing this? My keys make noise? Or is this a random thing?
Greg has a child to go back to. He doesn't like Robin Hood.
Who do, oh, you do look like Robin Hood. The kids realize they're the only hope, so they go back to Spinners and they have the layout of the map with the concentric circles, and they're like, "This is what's happening. It's up at the mine. I've been up at the mine. Okay, let's go back to the mine." They go up to the mine. This is where they find that Egon had set up the proton packs. The earthquakes are the proton packs going off to zap whatever is down in the hole. What the gozers, the terror dogs, all the things from coming up is a ghost defense system there stopping them. They realize that this is where they see Ivo Shandor's body. Right in the moment where it almost rises out, Ivo Shandor's body reactivates for a hot second. But
And
it
in
gets
that
blasted
moment,
out.
I'm like, this motherfucker looks so familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Right? J.K. Simmons, motherfucker. It zaps them down. While this is happening back at the homestead, once again, the PKE meter is going off. This time, Carrie picks it up. She uses it to go around, eventually go down into her dad's workshop. Again, now she should, I would think, be a little bit more freaked out of like, she's an adult and all this shit's happening. She doesn't have a childlike wonder. She doesn't though. It goes down there. She goes down there. This is where the light reveals, of course, that it is her father and that he has been watching her entire life. He did care. It's not that he didn't care. He just
Do
felt
it
that he
for
couldn't
her.
talk.
Why
To,
didn't
exactly.
he
do it
say something? Why didn't he say something? I feel like,
like
it
some of
would've
it's
made
like
her
super
life-
like there's post-its all over it and they're like her dorm room has it's another Ghostbusters 1 reference of like serious metal fatigue and all the load bearing. Like, what the fuck? Why are you in my? I would be like, what the fuck are you doing in my dorm room, Dad? You know what I mean? Not talking.
Well, I mean,
That's
it
weird.
must have been the mom was sending him photos, right?
I imagine
Yes.
so, right?
Because it
And
was like a
he's just- he
photo
was
that
looking-
someone had taken of.
Yeah,
her.
they weren't
Yeah.
like weird like spy shots.
Can't-
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like the mom character, like more information about her, might have been needed.
Maybe
I
a little
agree.
bit.
Maybe there'll be more deleted scenes about that. Anyways, though, in the midst of all this, the mist comes back, right? She gets possessed. We don't see it, but she gets possessed. She'll be, another Zool here, an old Zooly, you nutball. Even though I think I thought I caught that they reversed roles this time, where he called her the keymaster and she called him the gatekeeper. But I could be totally
From
making
the
that
way
up.
that he was acting, like it felt like that's what they were doing, which I thought was really cool. But that being said, she did put on the dress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just
so
part of the
that's,
ceremony. I don't know.
Yeah, I
it
guess.
doesn't matter either way.
I
Anyways,
like that, like for no reason now there's lore to that dress.
Yeah,
Like, it
exactly. I
comes
thought
from-
that too. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
exactly. I never watched the Dana Barrett thing. I was like, where'd that dress come from? I assumed in her house of outfits, she just put on her craziest, weirdest, sexiest
That's
dress.
what I thought too.
When I'm kind of I immediately think of Nick saying that like nobody reacts the way they should in this movie when they all arrive to see mom being possessed in the chair.
Yeah.
Her eyes are fucking different color and she speaks in a devilish fucking mutant tone.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's going on? And it's like, come on, we need a little more there than just like,
Something.
what's going on?
Andy, it's a new generation, man. These kids aren't scared of anything.
I guess
You go in there,
not.
it's devil's voice. But
But-
serious question though, are my keys really loud? Like this is a
God. But
like
she
an
is the
issue,
possessed
or-
mother. There is no mom, only Zool. I guess right there is scared of the shocker on the PKE meter, which she sees, freaks out, runs out of the house, bursts through the window hilariously, and then runs out of the house. This is where the kids are like, it's up to us, and they all go down and we get the suit up scene, and they're all putting on the fucking Ghostbusters outfits, and they're putting on the fucking elbow pads, and I'm like, yes, this is fucking great. Trevor tries to sneak a look at Lucky. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, empowerment. This is how kids are nowadays. They're showing bras and dicks all over the place. They're showing bras and cocks all over the place.
God,
Nobody
fuck.
Thank
fucking
you.
cares.
You
know what I
shouldn't
mean?
say kids and that word in the same sentence.
Hey
That
man,
was
this
a
is
good
what the
that's-
movie put into my head. All right.
No,
I can't.
no.
This is
This
No.
is Jason Reitman's doing, Kevin. So they're all suited up, and that's great. And they know they got to go fight Ghoster, and they've already got a plan involved. While that's happening, Paul Rudd and Carrie fuck, and they become they do their thing. And then the kids race up to there, and they park the Ecto-1 very stealthily behind a big rock. And then Phoebe and the podcast go and sit behind another big rock. And then, Paul Rudd and Carrie show up. They do the same praise the sun thing, turn into terror dogs. The one and only Gozer the Gozerian shows up. She comes out again. Olivia Wilde pets the dogs, all cool. Then lounges in her chair, and then I believe his magic lights keep shooting out. This is where the minor ghost is in town now. This is where the old eyeball ghost toy he used to have from the real Ghostbusters is out there doing his shit.
I did appreciate the animatronics on the dogs.
Yeah.
Like obviously they were animated in the sequence where they chase, but I did appreciate seeing like the actual physical animatronic.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoebe walks out there to distract Gozer, comes out and tells a bunch of bad jokes. Gozer stares at. I forget what Gozer eventually says. Gozer says eventually something to her.
Are you ready to die?
Are you? And this is when podcast has been futzing around with the RC car trap and eventually gets it under with the terror dog, sets it off, sucks it out, frees the mom. Yeah, Nick?
I didn't like this beat. I didn't like any of this where she's like, I'll tell you a joke. And I was like, okay, I know that was we set this up. But then she's like, are you ready to die? And then the best they could come up with for Phoebe to say was, no, I'm 12.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? This is like she's squaring off. This is the protagonist of this movie squaring off against the big baddie. And like this scene kind of fell flat for me, unfortunately.
Well, it's over quick enough because they suck out. The mom's there. They Gozer's like, ow, that's part of me. That hurts. And like, ow. And then they all run and they get in the Ecto-1. They tear out of there in the Ecto-1. This is where the mom is like, oh, this is, and I talked to your grandfather and he wasn't crazy. He didn't been. And like, we know, Mom, don't worry about it. And Phoebe pulls out the gunner seat and goes out and it's fucking cool. And Mom's like, whoa, my kids are cool. And Phoebe shoots some stuff. They drive back to the farmhouse. Again, I kind of skipped over. When they were downstairs, there was a great joke that I blew past or whatever. Like, it's the model of the whole town. It's like, yeah, this was his life's work. And they're like, well, it is a detailed model. They're like, no. The fact that this is a trap. This whole thing is a trap. This is a setup to... There's a setup to stop Gozer once and for all, to actually trap Gozer, not just send her back to her dimension.
Man, they sure got lucky, like in the whole getaway, to make sure the RC car was always on right track. Like I would have supremely fucked that up. Like, oh, we're out of dude. It's still way back there. We got to go back and get back in the range. But like, no, they were right back. This fucking podcast kid, he's right on it. He knows how to drive an RC
but it's
car.
Also he had the VR thing, right? Because he had those goggles on.
Did he? I thought those were just Ecto goggles. I was. I mean, again, I'm not going to pick. I ain't going to split hairs, but it was. Oh, he got an upgrade of the Polaroid in it. Trust me, I'm ready to put. Really cool. I'll be spending $150 fucking whenever somebody puts that shit out for me to own. But anyways, yeah, there was some. Whatever. However, he saw it, and he was able to keep the car going and have a great time and driving insanely fast and not get run over. However. They pull back up to the house. They're ready to set the trap, to do all the things. They had fixed the capacitors ahead of time this time. They knew what was up. They knew the rings were a trap, yada, yada, yada. So they get out there. Phoebe, Terror Dog, Gozer shows up, half all fucked up. Holds up the ghost trap just like Egon did. Then tells Mom, right, to hit the thing. Mom hits the thing, but it fritzes out once again. Gozer thinks he's got the upper hand, or she's got the upper hand. Gets the trap back, right? Gets the terror dog back out. The terror dog then possesses Lucky. Then it's like, cool, Gozer's back to full power. Phoebe blasts with the neutron wand, the proton pack. Gets a good hook on Gozer. Then the
CG on Gozer was cool in the half form. I really like the way it looked.
Finn's ready to go with the gunner seat and get that, but the mini puffs have appeared because they're part of this too.
So many elements going on here. And like Lucky getting pulled into being a terror dog and stuff. It's like, what is happening? Why is there so much stuff? And like, why did the thing fritz out and not work? It's like there's just a lot.
Because it was not like it didn't work, right? Like he never got it to work 100%. It seems like.
Yeah, and I guess
I'm happy we saw that twice in this movie.
So then, podcast is trying to stop the mini puffs, but he's struggling or whatever to do that. It seems like we're on our last legs here. I think eventually, Gozer yanks the proton stream itself, throwing Phoebe down. The stream's broken. It looks like all is lost. And then, hey, Flat Top. Camera just turns 3 feet to the front of the Ecto-1, and it's the 3 original surviving Ghostbusters. Of course, Dr. Raymond Stantz, Dr. Pete Venkman, and Dr. Winston Zeddemore. They have some one-liners. Again, I was really hoping. I'm glad that Ray addressed it, Nick. But I was hoping for another Gozer the Gozerian. Good evening.
Good evening.
But instead, we got Gozer the Gozerian. And, on behalf of the state of Oklahoma and whatever county and yada yada yada, Somerville, we're ordering you to cease all supernatural, whatever he says this time around. And then there's a whole bunch. Like this is another one of like. Don't get me wrong. I obviously love it, and I'm grinning ear to ear, and I'm so happy to see it. But again, ham-fisted, and then just weird tonally, where it's like, I understand that we set up here that the kids aren't super afraid of ghosts or Gozer or really whatever's going on, but they still had enough fear and action in them. The Ghostbusters to walk up and just talk shit to Gozer, knowing that they fought Gozer before, knowing what's on the line. They don't even have their wands pulled. They're just like, hey, bitch, you remember us? Ghoster's like, I don't really. But I'm not saying anything.
I feel like there, the easy thing is like the solution was so easy. They literally just crossed the stream. And I feel like in this one, I don't know if Ghoster's stronger or what, but like when they cross the streams, it clearly is not enough.
Well, remember, I mean, that I get because remember they blew the door back last time. They didn't shoot Gozer. They shot the dimensional portal she was using to be in our dimension. So for me, I mean, whatever. It's all fucking made up science. That they weren't shooting Gozer, right?
That
checks out.
Shooting, like I guess for this to have worked, you would have had at the mine cross the streams and blown that doorway backwards or whatever.
I feel
like she knew here that she could rip apart the streams.
She uncrossed them as they it was literally like cross the streams. Oh no, she's uncrossing the streams. It was like,
It was unfortunate the joke with "Are you a god?" I was like, oh, I wanted that to hit so hard, but it didn't hit.
Yes, we're all gods down here. I was like, yeah, right.
I just wanted her to say, "Are you a god?" and it cut it back and have him be like, yes, I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like have that moment of like, oh right, I fucked this up the first time, but instead they have this kind of like,
Well, I mean, wasn't the moment Bill Murray being like, "Come on, like you got the like."
And he goes, "Come on, Ray, like answer it right this time," is what he was kind of implying.
That I guess that was the comedic beat for me. I think I think that was what was supposed to be funny there, and it worked for me where they're all just there standing saying nothing, and then Bill Murray's like, "Come on, Ray, like do the fucking thing."
I think that the joke should have been that's when Ray is like, "Wait, you really don't remember us, huh?"
We've had this conversation before. You know what I mean? Anyways, though, back to what we said. They cross the streams. They get it around Gozer, but she is too powerful this time. Uncrosses the streams, throws them all down. What is it? Pete's like, I don't remember it hurting this much. And then Winston's like, I do. I like that joke. They're down for the count, it would appear once again. But this time, Phoebe turns on her Neutrino wand, blasts Gozer. Gozer gives her a blast back. We have like kind of the Star Wars or Harry Potter standoff of shit going into it or whatever. And it looks like Phoebe is about to lose. We see her hand starting to struggle, but then boom, the ghost hand of Egon comes in to lift it back up, and they pan back to actually show the ghost of Harold Ramis. Well, not the actual ghost of Harold Ramis. To be there, of Egon Spengler holding her and helping her out.
Not the actual ghost of Harold Ramis.
And then we look over at the Ghostbusters who get this reaction too, and I'm fucking crying. Not bawling yet. I don't bawl I'm sorry, but them there looking at their friend, from the other side doing this.
I feel like this moment was super telegraphed. It was very clear that we're gonna have a moment like this, but when it happens, it 100% worked for me. I loved it. Yeah.
Of course, then at this point, Podcast has had enough. He remembers the PKE stun gun. He starts stunning all the Stay Puffs and getting sprayed by all the stuff. Eventually getting Finn Wolfkill's proton pack in the gunner seat back online. Finn's able to shoot it into Gozer. At this point, the old guard is back up. They shoot Gozer. Everybody's shooting Gozer together. We get that awesome shot, I think personally, of all 5 Ghostbusters, I guess, but the 3 living originals, Phoebe, and then Egon's ghost around her, and you have this fucking awesome shot of them all shooting Gozer together. I'm choking up right now talking about it.
It lasted a little too long. Let me make you.
I fucked it up. I'm sorry. That goes on. Those 5 Ghostbusters are holding it down. Finn finally gets the gunner seat up and running. Rather than shooting into that, he's like, wait, turns and shoots into the capacitors that have been fucking up, giving it enough juice to do the thing. They hit the trap, or maybe they hit the trap. All the traps.
Well, the mom hits the trap.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure if it's still open, but yeah. Hits the trap. All the traps go off. They have the supernova tornado of ghosts above them. Shoots it up. Gets everybody, rips them all down, puts them into the thing. And for a second, I was like, "Shit, are they about to trap Egon too? Is that how this is gonna go?"
I also,
but Egon wasn't standing in the circle. I get it. they do it. Boom. Get everybody. Gozer is defeated once and for all. The Terror Dogs turn to the ash things we know from Ghostbusters 84. Then we get a few different moments happening all kind of at the same time. But, Finn runs over to get Lucky out, but he starts with Paul Rudd. He's like, oh, hey. He's like, oh, hey. Then he runs over and he gets Lucky out. I was hoping for a Venkman thing of like, getting your girlfriend out of that. No, I know that vibe. Instead, then we get the better stuff of like going back to, the 3 living Ghostbusters talking to Egon and Pete being like, I had a feeling you might show up or whatever. And then, Ray saying, I'm sorry. Winston saying he should have called. This moment between all of them that I thought was real poignant. And then, for the narrative, right, you get Egon's ghost getting to talk to acknowledge the grandchildren, and then for the final segment of this, right, get to have his moment with his daughter, right, his estranged daughter, where there's a standoff, they're looking at each other, she finally runs over, she hugs him, you get a shot of everybody reacting to it and crying to that, and then his work on Earth being done, and him dematerializing and drifting off, and then I thought a really clutch pan up to the stars and just for Harold. And that's the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife in terms of what's going there. Obviously, we skipped a few different beats. I didn't ever call it out. I really did love the part where, 30 minutes or 40 minutes ago in the movie timeline where Phoebe was yelling at her mom and like, why didn't you tell me my dad or my grandfather was Egon Spengler? Because I do think that for her being so into science, so good at it, and being so different in the way she processes information, that would have been something that would have been helpful to her. Sorry, Nick.
I was going to say one of my other favorite lines that came here was when after it's done, Bill Murray like pats Phoebe on like on the back, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna go in the house and get some cocoa."
Yeah. Right,
It's just banger line.
He calls it like Nougat or something, right, or something. Like that.
Now, wasn't there a thing with chocolate in the second one? No. No,
Maybe.
never mind then.
I don't know.
Never mind. No,
I
There's
did
also
wanna-
the scene here of like, Winston talks to the Ecto-1 of like, oh man, what do they do to you, girl?
Yeah,
we'll
get
get you fixed up. Don't worry, I loved all that.
when all the Ghostbusters are there looking at Harold, it just lasted a little too long for me of them just kind of like gazing at him, and he looks back, and it went on for a couple of beats too long, and I just kind of needed them to cut away from that. But it was cool kind of seeing them interact and being like, God damn, I can't believe you're actually here. That was pretty neat.
And then page up, we get the Ecto-1 shot going back into New York over a bridge from way of a distance, right? And the building of the Ghostbusters theme, then Ghostbusters title card, and then an animated intro of proton packs and stuff while the Ghostbusters theme play. Then we get to the mid-credit scene, which is finally with Sigourney Weaver. Bam! It's Sigourney Weaver giving Pete Venkman the same test from Ghostbusters 84 that opened the movie, right? Yeah, of the wavy lines, the star, and all that shit. And of course, just a cute thing of them first off being married, which I really appreciate. They both are wearing rings. It's awesome to see them together. It's awesome to see them happy. And it's another one of like complete fan service of like, we're doing this on this day or whatever at a timeout,
Right.
but whatever, it's still great. But Pete keeps fucking nailing them. She's like, you mark the cards, didn't you? He's like, yeah. Can't believe you used to shock people. I only shock the male students, and she immediately shocks him.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about in our review of like, Pete Venkman kind of a scumbag, but like
Kinda
in 84, like you knew Bill Murray, and it was Bill Murray being Bill Murray. So like you like chalk it up to what the movies were at the time. So I love her immediately shocking him for that. He's like, I deserve that. I deserve that.
So funny.
And yeah, you get a little bit of slice of life with them. Then we get a whole bunch of credits. And then, I was very surprised by it. You get a deleted scene from the 84 Ghostbusters, right? Of the one and only Janine Melnitz talking to Egon Spengler right before they went into Dana Barrett's building and giving him this lucky World's Fair coin, and him being like, I shouldn't take it. We probably won't be coming back. She's like, it's okay. I have two. And that scene ends and then cuts to the second coin use in her hand, and her Janine Melnitz talking to Winston. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You think it was the second coin? You didn't think it was that coin?
I bet in their friendship, she let him keep that first one. And he had the second one. It's kind of like establishing a little bit more of who they were to each other.
At this moment, I was like, oh my God, they're setting it up. She's clearly the mom somehow.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. And then they just totally pivot.
Totally pivot to where it's her talking to Winston, and Winston being like, Egon was the head of the Ghostbusters, or the brain, Ray was the heart, Pete was the gusto or whatever. And she's like, what were you? And I forget what he says, honestly, because I'm trying to grab all this as it's happening live. But he's a super successful businessman now, and he has all these awards behind him in this very clean-looking building. I thought they were going to pull on it and be like Ghostbusters International, some shit. But he's been paying the rent at Ray's bookshop since then. Winston's just a stand-up fucking guy. And, in light of all this, he's decided that there's still, ghosts that need to be busted. There still needs to be a guard watching on this and stuff. And so as this narration's happening, we see him going into the firehouse, which is just, the abandoned, broke down ass firehouse. And then the doors opening and then, bringing the Ecto-1 in there and parking it. And then that is the end of it, because Winston was like, fuck those kids. They don't get to keep the proton packs or the Ecto-1.
Yeah, kind of cool setting up a potential sequel if they wanted to, of him kind of looking over a new team or whatever it is.
Yeah, keeping the world, the universe alive and stuff, and see what could go on from there.
Yeah. Andy, hit me with a little haiku in review.
I don't have the music. 7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review. Is that you like waving your phone as your flash, as the can of the match?
I'm in the audience at a Ray Parker Jr. concert.
Zpo wrote in the patreon.com/kindafunny, just like you can with his review in haiku form. Hope Greggy loved it. Some more ghosts to be busted. Who you gonna call? Andrew Feister says, smiles on my face. A good time at the right place. Kudos to Miss Grace. Grant Burton says, cool nostalgia and a new generation. This is for Harold. Joe Mertens ends it with, this is Phoebe's film, and that's really for the best. Start that new chapter.
I was already, I don't know if y'all remember during part 2 or part 1 where I was like, it's going to be, it's kind of weird that I always thought that Ivan Reitman was Harold Ramis's son.
I was right there with you. Yeah.
And so I was like, I'd already corrected myself back then, Kevin. And while watching this movie, I was like, man, it must have been tough for Ivan Reitman to like have a CG version of his father. I was like, no, his dad's
Yep.
The other guy.
That was the executive
I had
producer
that
of the
same
film.
conversation.
Yeah.
Where I was like, no, damn it.
But it was that I remember from watching obviously all of Jason Reitman's Instagrams and stuff for forever. Like he made a big deal about. Not a big deal, but he posted when months ago now, Harold Ramis's daughter had come to a screening of the film, like a private screening to see it. I can't wait to hear her take on it.
Let's do a little
Bagu.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys, the podcast within a podcast where we rank all the villains of the Ghostbusters universe. For your recollection right now, it looks like this. Number 1 on the list is Gozer / Walter Peck from Ghostbusters 1. Number 2 is Vigo / Janosch from Ghostbusters 2. And number 3 is Rowan from the one, the only Ghostbusters 2016. Gentlemen, where do we want to put Evo? Oh, we totally fucking skipped when Ivo Shandor's body did come to life for 2 seconds. It was J.K. Simmons. He walks up to Livy Wild, Gozer, I'm here to fight. And he just gets ripped in half and dropped. It's so fucking good.
So good.
So where do we want to put, I guess, Ivo Shandor and Gozer?
number 2.
Yeah, I'll put him number 2 too. I'll put him number 2 just based on the strength of the costuming and the performance by Olivia Wilde. And I thought it was just so cool. I was like, I want to see more of this Gozer. And,
I could argue it'd be number 1, but like it's.
No, nothing beats the German actress that played Gozer in the first one.
I would put it number 2 because number 2, and Gozer. I kind of feel. No, I think Gozer in 1 is more intimidating and more scary and has a better entrance, and then right to Stay Puft and all that shit. But I think it hinges more on what Tim was talking about earlier, Walter Peck, or maybe it was Nick. I apologize, but whoever was like, this movie needed an actual antagonist to be in Phoebe's way. Where we really don't have that right throughout this film. It's the coming of Gozer eventually. Ivo Shandor's done all this legwork, but he's just letting it cook. Whereas I think the fact that we had Peck getting in the way of the Ghostbusters was something for them to fight in the real world at the same time. So I go number 2 as well.
I'm cool with 2.
Now it's time to rank the Ghostbusters. Currently, number 1 is number 1. Number 2 is number 2. And number 3 is 2016. Where do you want to put Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Oof. This is a hard one.
I'm going number 1.
Oh, okay.
Really? We had this conversation.
Like,
that's interesting.
Just going back to, like, I think that this achieved the vision of being a really good kids adventure movie, and it did that well. I don't think it necessarily did a lot of the fan servicey stuff well, and I don't think it did the nostalgia reboot stuff well. But I still think that I would much rather rewatch this one in the future. And when I have kids, I want to show them this one first.
I'm gonna go with number 2. I think part 1 is just so perfectly acted and funny, and I enjoy the characters there quite a bit more. I do just from to back, it's just a really damn solid movie, and also Bill Murray is just an absolute star in it.
Nick?
Yeah, I would probably put it number 2, I would think. Just because I think there's so much more of a movie here than there is in Ghostbusters 2. I think Ghostbusters 2 feels too much like a kid's film. It doesn't have the same tone. And I think I like the characters in this. I liked a lot of it. And, I was bored at parts in this movie. I think for all the reasons we've talked about, just some of the stuff dragged a little bit. But the same could be said for some of Ghostbusters 2. So I would probably put this just a touch above Ghostbusters 2.
Kevin?
Yeah, I have no nostalgia for Ghostbusters. When I watched it, like I said earlier, I was too young, freaked me out. I'm glad we rewatched it because I definitely got a lot more out of it. That being said, I feel like this movie did a really good job with every aspect, that like the story, the humor, the acting, and personally to me, like I'd probably prefer watching this, and I put this as number 1.
Oh, wow, look at that. 2 2s, 2 1s. For me personally, I put it number 2. I think I can understand a case for number 1. I just think the Ghostbusters 1, and granted, of course, it was this movie, what would have had to do to come in and dethrone a movie that's been my favorite movie since I was 4 or 3 years old or whatever. Like, I understand that's a tall order, but trying to even step back from that, I think Ghostbusters 84, I didn't have to get up and running with. I think, and granted, they're different movies, as you pointed out, Tim. They're trying to achieve different things. But I think 84 is a better stem to stern movie in terms of character performances and what it's doing and interest levels and all these other things, where, this movie, while great, and I can't wait to watch again. I can't wait to see deleted scenes from it. I'm jonesing for, I think Jen's mom or my mom to come visit again so I can sneak off to a theater and see it again. I just don't think it has the same impact as that.
I thought you were going to say, so I can take them to see it. But you were
No,
like,
I
"They
just
can
don't
stay
want to
the
leave
kid
Jen
and
alone
go
with
see the
Benjamin. I can hear him crying up there. I'm like, oh God, I got to go upstairs. I got to get back to this kid. I got to get back to this kid. I don't like leaving her alone with.
So with that, the new rankings are number 1, Ghostbusters, number 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife, number 3, Ghostbusters 2, and number 4, Ghostbusters 2016. We may return to this one day. We may not. Who knows?
I hope
But
we do.
until then, no matter what, I love you.
Bust.